Welcome to Bratislava in Slovakia for the 2021 ICF Canoe Slalom World Championships. 235 athletes from 45 nations have gathered here to contest this, the 41st edition of the championships, which were last held here on the mighty River Danube in 2011. It's semi-finals time in the kayaks. We have the women's kayak and the men's kayak category. We've already narrowed down the field to 30 women's kayak, 40 men's kayak athletes, but it is now starting to sharpen up because on this run we will bring the field down to just 10 to race it out for the World Championship title of 2021. I'm Andy Maddock, and alongside me is Luca Jones, and we'll talk you through all the action as it unfolds here live from Bratislava. Welcome to the commentary booth, Luca.
Thanks, Andy. Nice to be here.
Well, a great idea of this course, artificial course that uses the water off the Danube. And we've got 23 gates set by our course designers, Marianne Agulon of France and Irati Goikachea of Spain. And what do you think of this course?
I think they've done a great job. I guess we'll see for sure when the women start competing in the semi-final, but it looks like it's a good level of difficulty. They've got some moves that really use the water but also challenge the athletes.
Well, here is our start list. The athletes will race in reverse order of their performances in the heats. So the top 30 from those heats have gone through into this semi-final. We've got some big names in this competition, 5 world champions in the field, including, well, in addition as well to the Olympic champion from Tokyo, Ricarda Funk of Germany. And Jessica Fox, multiple world champion, will go off last as the fastest qualifier. Ricarda Funk, the Olympic champion. We haven't seen her race in the last couple of races, but she looked on good form in the heats.
She did, and yeah, it's going to be a really exciting final to watch. I couldn't pick a winner at this stage.
Yeah, and the job now is to get through into that final to be in contention for that World Championship title of 2021. Well, we are underway with racing here in Bratislava. As we say, 30 boats going for just 10 places in the final. That final will be brought to you live at Planet Canoe, so you can follow that 12 o'clock Central European time today. But let's focus on the action. So this course was built in 1997. It's had a few little tweaks here and there, but earlier on this year it had quite major adjustments to the water. And what's your feeling? You've raced on the old configuration, you've now raced on the new configuration.
Yeah, I think they've done a fantastic job, actually. You can see they've put in some of the rapid blocks, the plastic blocks that line the sides of the course. And actually the whole top section, you can pull yourself back up. So it's a fantastic venue now for training for the Slovaks. And yeah, it's a really exciting course to race on.
So the rapid blocks, I think the main advantage with them is that they're easily movable. So in the bottom of the course, there's like a tracking system, isn't there? So you can just tune the white water essentially as you require. And it's very much the system that was used in London on that Olympic venue and Rio and Tokyo, and more used around on these artificial courses. So it certainly maintained the character of this famous Bratislava course because it drops 6 meters from top to bottom, really steep, really fast.
Yes, and it's quite famous for this bottom drop Niagara, which you can see Marta's just negotiating now. And you know, when your arms are tired and you're coming up to that drop, you're really just praying that everything goes well and you really get your line and your strokes right.
So Marta Bertoncelli of Italy, our first competitor, sets the time to beat, 1:06.6. That includes a 2-second penalty on the upstream gate 20. And, well, we'll get an indication as we start to get down as to what sort of times will be competitive. And up next, Marie-Célia Lafont of France. Well, she's a World Cup winner.
She is, yeah. We haven't seen her on top form in the last few years. But it's great to see her in the semi-final, and she's definitely capable of putting down a fast run.
She was 14th at the Tokyo Olympics in her second Olympic Games. And, well, it's been a long season for those people, particularly those involved in the Olympic campaign. those who weren't involved in the Olympic campaign had a little bit of a breather in the middle of the season. How are you feeling, Luca? You've been obviously part of that campaign. You finished 6th at the Tokyo Games. Is it just kind of, are you just looking forward to the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I was very grateful to come back to Europe after the Olympics and race the World Cups and obviously this World Championships, but it has been a long season. I've been away since May, so I'm looking forward to going back home.
Well, Marie-Zilia has picked up a couple of penalties, so if you're not familiar with the sport of canoe slalom, then it's simply about going fast and clean down the course. You have to negotiate the gates in number order, the green and white gates in a downstream direction, the red and white gates in an upstream direction. But if you touch the pole with any part of your body, your boat or your paddle, you incur a 2-second penalty added onto your time and a 50-second penalty if you incorrectly negotiate the gate. So over Niagara, really tight for Marie-Zilia. And it's not just delivering the upstream, is it? You've really got to keep your wits about you as your arms are tired on this last little sequence.
Yes, it's a very tricky sequence to finish off, and she's done a pretty good job of that.
So 4 seconds of penalties, but despite that, it is into the race lead, 103.71, so under 100 seconds in raw time. But those 4 seconds of penalties, as we start to get into the latter part of the semi-finals, may well prove the difference between making the final and being just outside.
Absolutely. I really think these times are going to drop as the semi-final progresses, and we're going to see some, fast, clean runs, and I think it'll be really competitive to make the final.
So on course now for Switzerland, it's Elena Marks. So drafted in late for the Tokyo 2020 Games. And, well, her best result so far was 16th at the Under-23 Worlds this season. 31st in the last World Cup race in Pau in France. And that was a fortnight ago. Almost the final opportunity to get some race practice before coming into these World Championships.
And she looks like she's putting together a really solid run up the top.
So this course is very fast, isn't it? It's kind of all the way down, the water's moving fast. How different is it to some of the other sites that you have to paddle?
Yeah, well, even though this course was designed by the same people who designed the Whitewater course in La Seo, they're very different. The water here is big, it's fast, and if you're not online, it can really push you around. So you do need some strength out there, you need some accuracy. But I think I've not met anyone who doesn't like paddling in here in Bratislava.
Yeah, it is super fun and really rewarding, some of these drops. So as we see Elena coming down towards gate 19, now setting up, this is the big drop on the course, and you've really got to attack that line and try and get as high as you can into the upstream, because you want to come out a little bit wide to set up these last couple of gates.
You do, and you see a lot of paddlers during the weeks leading up to the World Championships just doing repeats on that bottom drop, because it's such a critical move, and we know that the course designers are going to put gates, put upstreams in that Niagara drop.
So the 50-second penalty picked up on the downstream gate 13, so unfortunately for Elena, she won't progress into the World Championship final. As we look at Ekaterina Perova of the Russian Canoe Federation on course now. She is a World Cup finalist, but we've not seen much of Ekaterina in recent years.
No, we haven't. She's a very capable paddler, nice and smooth on the water, really knows how to use the boat. But yeah, we probably haven't seen the results that she's capable of.
So the top part of the course is, as you can see, it's sometimes the you don't really get the perspective on just how big and how fast the water is. And it is so important in canoe slalom, but certainly at this top level, that if you're fighting the water, then the time will really slip away. You've got to be working in harmony with the white water and really using your power reserves in the optimal way.
Yes, it's so crucial, and we can see now she's made a mistake by just getting a little bit offline. The water's pushed her around, and that is going to be very costly.
So she was up on the early split, but that's all gone now. And it's damage limitation time. They said Katerina Perova now comes down into the upstream gate 14. 6 of the red and white upstream gates on this course. And, well, the red and white upstream gates, as a general rule, then that's where a lot of the time trades hands, doesn't it? You've got to be tight in and no deeper than necessary.
Absolutely. There's a famous quote saying that there is evil in the upstreams and you don't want to spend too much time there, and that's definitely true.
So over the big drop, a nice line for Ekaterina. Now, really, this is where the fatigue sets in, and you've got to really get the line through 21. And a plan B, I think, there on 22 to 23.
Yeah, there's so much time in these last 3 gates of the course, and yeah, that's not the run that she would have wanted today.
So into third place for Ekaterina Panova of the Russian Canoe Federation, as we go straight back up to the top of the course and look at Antony Galashkova of the Czech Republic.
Very exciting young paddler, Antony, from a very strong paddling nation.
Junior world champion from 2019, as it said in the caption. And she was 5th at the under-23 Worlds this year, so already transitioning from those junior ranks and making her mark at the under-23 level. She's very capable of making this senior world championship final.
Absolutely. Yep, she's a very dynamic paddler. You can see she's working to get under the poles and to take short lines, short, fast lines.
Well, she's up on the split at the moment, 1.77 up. But there is a review going on the upstream gate 10. No penalty showing at the moment. But if you're not familiar with the way the penalties are awarded, then there are judges on the riverbank who will indicate initially any penalties. But we also have cameras placed down the course that give multiple camera angles on each gate. So if any gate penalty needs to be confirmed, then there's a panel of video judges who will do that live throughout the run. So you can see the review is complete, and it is still clean for Antony Galashkova of the Czech Republic. And this is a useful run coming together. Still up on the split, as she now has to negotiate the final part. Nicely done. She's forward through the bottom section. And now it is a straight sprint to the finish line. It's a great backdrop. It really gives you an idea of the scale of the drop, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And that drop feels huge when you're approaching it. All you can see is a horizon line. Antony's put down a fantastic run. She should be proud of that.
100.96 and into the race lead. So 5 down, still 25 to go. They were the fastest 25 from the heats. But it is all about delivery on this run. Now Slovakia, the host nation, on course. Sona Stanovska, another junior world championship medalist from back in 2018. She took the under-23 European silver medal in 2021. Paddles kayak and canoe. We'll have the canoes in action tomorrow. Again, you can follow that live at Planet Canoe. The semi-finals get underway at 9 o'clock Central European time tomorrow, 11:30 Central European time tomorrow for the finals of the men's and the women's canoe. But today it's kayak time, double-bladed paddle, athletes sitting in a boat with the legs out in front of them. And Sona Stanovska, well, that penalty on the downstream gate 9, a little bit of a blemish, but so far looking in charge on the course.
Yeah, she's really attacking out there, and if someone knows this course, it's Sona. She'll spend a lot of time training here.
It's interesting, because the course was only modified in the sort of spring of this year, how much time, how much advantage do you think the Slovaks have had on this course?
I don't think they've had as much time training here as we thought, but, you know, it's got a similar feel. The bottom of the course is quite the same. So, yeah, I think, you know, it's still a real advantage to have this as your home course.
Nicely into the upstream gate 20 for Sona Stanovska there. Now getting dragged out and takes a penalty as a result, and now has to go round for 22. So suddenly a good run is slipping away, the penalty and the time loss. And Sona Stanovska of Slovakia is going to be well outside that lead time. Into 4th place for now, but quite a distance from that lead time of 100.96. Next to start, Monica Doria Villarubla of Andorra. Freshly back from the Olympic Games in Tokyo. She finished 16th there. 4th at the under-23 Europeans that took place in August. And she was a finalist at the last World Cup race of the season.
And she's a very dynamic, exciting paddler in both C1 and K1, and you can see she's making a really great job of the course out here. She's attacking, but she's online, and I think that's one of the characteristics of Monica, is that she's a very kind of accurate and smooth paddler.
Yeah, she's got the advantage at the top part of the course, just half a second up, and really running the boat nicely. You can just see how that cross from 10 to 11 has worked in her favour. But again, another athlete just caught out. She looked so in charge, but washed off the back, loses the trough of the wave between 12 and 13, and you can see the result.
Yeah, we've seen quite a few athletes do that, and maybe we're underestimating how difficult that move really is. You have to rely on that wave picking you up, and if you're a little bit offline, or if the wave flushes, then you're in deep trouble.
So that has really damaged the hopes of a place in the World Championship final. Turn the advantage at the top to a deficit in the middle. And whilst Monica can pick up a bit of time on the bottom drop, that's her big ask, to try and find 5 seconds on these last few gates.
And that's the thing about canoe slalom, you know, you can have a fantastic top section of the race course, but, you know, it's about putting a whole run together.
So again, a bit of a plan B there, and a late penalty on the last gate confirmed. Monica Doria Villarubla of Andorra goes into 5th place, and another athlete with a great top section, but the odd mistake, and it all just unravels. So Natalia Pasiepnik of Poland on course now, 2-time Olympian. She finished 7th in London, and she had a medal, a silver medal at the Prague World Cup, the first World Cup of the 2021 season. Hasn't really shown herself since then, but she clearly has the pace when she gets the lines right.
Yeah, she's a very capable paddler, and it'll be interesting to see what she can put down out here. She's having a little bit of trouble in the top section, but as we know, the bottom of the course is tricky.
Well, she's kept it alive, ducking and diving a little bit. It's not the plan A that she would have liked, but she's not picked up any penalties. The key thing now, though, she looks like she's fighting the water a bit. She's got to find the groove, because the water gets progressively bigger on this course, and as your arms get tired, if you're fighting the water, it will fight back.
Absolutely, and there's a term, you know, burning candles, and she has burned a few candles at the top of the course, but, you know, she'll have a lot of training under her belt and know that she's physically capable of really nailing this bottom section of the course, and we've seen a lot of mistakes out here so far, so it's a tricky course, and it's about limiting the damage.
So she's actually found a bit more rhythm as she approaches the main drop here, running into gate 20, chasing a little bit of a deficit, 2.29, but Pasiepnik of Poland super tight in the upstream, too tight, picks the penalty, and she's going to have to really refocus to get these last 3 downstream gates.
Yeah, it just shows how difficult that bottom drop is. You know, you want to have the right angle, and you want to wait for that well-timed stroke to get into the eddy with speed.
Into 3rd place then for Natalia Pasiepnik of Poland. With 8 down, it is still Antoni Galashkova of the Czech Republic leading the way, ahead of Marie-Célia Lafont of France and Natalia Pasiepnik of Poland. Next up for Great Britain, it is Fiona Penny, 2-time World Championship silver medalist. And, well, she's already taken a gold medal. The Great Britain team won the gold medal in the team event. And, well, the contrasting weather from Wednesday, I have to say, it's beautiful here. Sun shining, a great autumn day here in Bratislava in Slovakia. But it was more like winter on Wednesday.
It was. We got in the car, it was 9 degrees, and had to go and find some warm clothing. Fiona looks like she's on a great run, actually. She's really attacking this course, but looks like she's putting her boat in the right place.
Yep, good advantage there at the top. And she looked like she could have extended that a little bit. She was very tidy through the double upstream 10 and 11 sequence.
I believe this could be Fiona's last World Championship. She's been talking about retiring. And yeah, it'd be fantastic to see her put down a good run and be in this final at her last World Championships.
Well, she's, yeah, as we said earlier, look, she's extended the advantage 1.5 seconds now. As we said earlier, she's a 2-time silver medalist in the World Championships, and she's made multiple finals over the years that she's been racing, and super tight on the upstream 20. 3 gates to go for Fiona Penny as she looks for a place in this World Championship final.
Oh, fantastic run. I'm really, really happy for Fiona.
Oh, this is good stuff. It's going to go under 100 seconds, 99.05, and into the race lead for Fiona Penny of Great Britain. But still 21 boats to go in this Women's Kayak World Championship semi-final. We're starting to get some big names. We've just seen Fiona. We've also, well, Camille Prigent had to qualify through on the second run. And we would expect Camille for France now to set a fast time and challenge around that time that Fiona Penny has set.
Yeah, absolutely. She was in the second runs of qualification, but she put down a blistering fast time. So she's definitely in form, and she knows this course well. She was here at the training camp, so it'll be interesting to see what she can put down this morning in the semi-final.
Well, she's an under-23 world champion. I think 2018 she won that, and she's been in 2 finals so far this season in the World Cups, and already an advantage on the top section over Penny of Great Britain by just over a second.
Camille's moved to Paris, to start living and training near the Olympic course.
Yes, I was fortunate. I was actually in Paris earlier on this week, and I went to have a look at the new Olympic course already built for the Paris 2024 Games, and well, I have to say it's an impressive venue. I think there's still a little bit of tweaking to be done to the actual whitewater course, but there's plenty of time to do that because the Games is still just under 3 years away.
They'll be looking to put on an impressive show at the Paris Olympics.
A mistake there for Camille. She jumped in to the eddy a little bit early, took a touch with the boat, and a review still going on the upstream gate 10. She has been awarded a 2-second penalty on gate 10, and she's getting across the line outside of the top place into 3rd place for Prigent of France, and that includes 4 seconds of penalty, so the times are coming down, 97.17, but it does look like, well, gate 10 is still being reviewed, but at the moment it looks like 3rd place for now for Camille Prigent of France, as we watch Miren Lazcano of Spain, 24-year-old, launch her World Championship bid for a place in the final.
Won the Europeans in C1 earlier this year, is that correct?
It is.
Yeah.
It is correct. So very much racing in both categories. So racing tomorrow in the women's canoe event. You can follow that live here at Planet Canoe. And that's at 9 o'clock, the semi-finals, Central European time. And the finals, 11:30 Central European time tomorrow. But you're watching live from Bratislava in Slovakia. Myself, Andy Maddock, alongside me, Luca Jones, 4-time Olympian, Olympic silver medalist from Rio 2016, and a medalist at the last World Championships in this event. But unfortunately, you had a disappointing day in the heats.
Yeah, I had a disaster, and yeah, I'm not quite sure what went wrong, but it was just one of those days, and I was quite surprised not to be in the semi-final. I can't remember the last time I missed a semi-final, but it is what it is, and it's nice to be here commentating and watching the action from the commentary box.
Our sport can be quite cruel. You weren't the only one. Joe Clark, the Olympic champion of Rio 2016, he also missed out on a place in the semi-finals, so he's missing from that semi-final lineup, which will follow on from this women's kayak event. But it's a 50-second penalty there for Miren Lazcano of Spain, and unfortunately this semi-final has not gone her way. So with 10 boats already in, it is Fiona Penny leading for Great Britain ahead of Camille Prigent, who has had a penalty removed, and now sitting in 2nd place ahead of Antoník Galaskova of the Czech Republic.
It'll be really interesting to see what the cut-off is going to be to make that top 10 this morning.
So yeah, we've got 30 boats, and it's reverse order. We've got 5 world champions in this field, plus Ricarda Funk, the Olympic champion. So super tight competition for places, and the only real absentees from the field is, I guess, yourself, Luca, and Mayelen Charot of Spain, the Olympic champion from Rio. Took the medal again in Tokyo, and she's just, it was one too many race, I think, for this season.
Yeah, it's been a long season for her, and I think she was really excited to spend some time at home with her daughter, and yeah, just to chill a little bit.
So Ida Novak of Slovenia now on course, and putting in a solid top section. The penalty, really, the only reason she's not showing an advantage over race leader Penny of Great Britain. Yeah, that move 12-13 is deceptively difficult, isn't it? You can see, and I suspect there'll be a lot of people who are going off later in this semi-final watching eagerly to just make sure they can learn from these early runners and not make those mistakes that we've seen.
Yes, it is one of the advantages of going off late in the semi-final. You have more information, you can make better decisions around the course, and you know, sometimes you wait a little bit to see what the earlier racers in the class are doing to then make your final race plan.
So 3 seconds down on the second split, but super tight on the upstream there. You basically, that move, you just have to be 100% committed, don't you?
Yeah, you don't want to hesitate coming into that move. You need some speed, you need some accuracy, and you can't be holding back.
So Ida Novak of Slovenia crosses the line into 6th place. And those 2 touches, 4 seconds of penalties, again making a big difference. So Penny leads for Great Britain ahead of Prigent of France and Galoskova of the Czech Republic. As we watch another emerging name, Klaudia Swalinska of Poland, who was 5th at the Tokyo Games, under-23 European champion, and she won the first World Cup of this 2021 season.
Yeah, she's a very promising paddler. She's had some very good results so far, and is just someone who's quite strong and dynamic on the water.
Well, she certainly looks like she's flowing well, working in harmony with the white water and in touch with the split of race leader Penny of Great Britain. I have to say, one of the one of the things we haven't shown in terms of the live was the forerunners. It was great to see Elena Kalishka. The organisers here have made her a special bib. She's basically hanging up her paddle after a 42-year career. That's pretty phenomenal for the double Olympic champion of, it was Athens and Beijing, is that?
Yes, and she's just such a hero in our sport, you know. It's very successful paddler, has been around for such a long time, and you know, as a young paddler I was looking up to Elena Kaliska and really hoping to achieve some of the results that she's managed to achieve over her career.
So she started in 1979. Well, most of the athletes racing here weren't even born, let alone even being thought about at that time. As Klaudia Swalinska of Poland crosses the line, and the penalties have just blemished that run again. 101.02. It's another quick time, but you can see the disappointment there. She knows that has left the door open, and only into 4th place.
Yeah, those penalties are just so costly. It's really difficult to make up 2 seconds.
So on course now for Great Britain, Mallory Franklin has been focusing mainly on the canoe event for the 2021 season, where she was selected to the Games. She came home with a silver medal from the Games as the women's canoe event made its debut in Tokyo. But very accomplished in the kayak event as well. She's a World Championship silver medalist and will be looking to make it through into the final. Just looked a little bit sticky there. Just didn't quite get the kick off the wave, but still, she has an advantage over compatriot Penny at the early stage of this run.
Yeah, she's had to work a little bit for it, but she's up and she's on a good run so far. So if she can hold it together, we'll see a good time from Mallory.
So flicks the boat round through 12 to 13. That was nicely done. She was able to get early on the upstream blade through 13, and that will have found her, I suspect, a few more tenths as she comes towards the second split on this 23-gate course.
Yeah, she's on a fantastic run, and I think it's a run that we'll see go into the final if she can hold together this bottom section. But as we've seen this bottom drop, it can be cruel. Your arms are tired, you're lactic, and you've got to be so accurate. Well,
it's a big margin she's gained in the middle, but as you say, Luca, it can all go wrong, and the time is slipping away now.
No. It's a disaster in this bottom drop for Mallory, and all of that good work that she's done at the top, it's just coming undone. So it's about damage limitation and trying to get to the bottom as fast as possible, but yeah, I'm not sure if it'll be enough now.
I think that's at least 6 to 7 seconds gone there for Mallory Franklin of Great Britain. And yeah, the time really reflecting that. It was all going so well, but the drop has claimed another victim. Mallory Franklin of Great Britain only goes in to 6th place. So another British athlete now, Kimberly Woods, sets off on her quest for a place in the World Championship final. So she was 10th in Tokyo earlier on in the summer, and she was actually involved in a car accident whilst out here in the training just a week or so ago. She was actually in a plaster cast, her leg, and thankfully there wasn't a fracture, and she has managed to continue training and compete here.
Yeah, it was quite a scary incident, actually. No one likes to be involved in a car crash, and I think for her, she's just grateful to be out here racing, you know. Even though we use our upper bodies primarily, you know, you're using your feet on your foot pegs, and especially in C1, trying to get a swollen ankle into your C1 fittings is no easy feat. So, yeah, it's great to see Kimberly out here racing and paddling well. She won the qualifications yesterday in C1.
She did, so she'll be racing tomorrow in the semi-finals, and the good early start has been hampered by 2 touches in that middle section. She's still in touch with race leader Fiona Penny of Great Britain, but she needs something special on the bottom drop, and that extra penalty there won't help at all. It was quick though, but it wasn't 2 seconds quicker on that bottom drop. So Kimberly Woods now coming down towards the finish line, plus 6 seconds of penalty. It's a super quick time, 96.46 plus 6 seconds of penalties, and into 5th place for now. So we're at the halfway point in this women's kayak semi-final here at the World Championships in Bratislava, Slovakia. Fiona Penny leads for Great Britain ahead of Camille Prigent of France and Anthony Galaskova of the Czech Republic. As we start to get into the business end of the semi-final now, and it won't be long before we start to confirm our finalists.
Yeah, we'll get a real idea of that cutoff for the final. And I think, you know, Fiona and Camille, they could be pretty sure that, you know, there's a good chance they'll be in that top 10 final.
I'd agree. I think they've delivered solid runs, and they put themselves right in the mix. So, on course, Noemi Fox of Australia. 2 Fox sisters in this 30-boat semi-final.
Coached by their mother, Miriam Fox, so it's a family ordeal.
And Noemi looks really, really smooth here. Looks so fluid.
Yeah, she's a very technical paddler and such a joy to watch on the water. Another female who's competing in both C1 and K1.
So just fighting a little bit around 12 and 13, and just a penalty, catching the back of her helmet on the outside pole, and that's confirmed on 13. So Noemi Fox of Australia, after a good top section where she's really in touch with the race leader, now needs to find the groove and get that line that we've seen being a bit elusive for the last few paddlers as they go into gate 20.
Yes, she'll be gearing up for this very critical move.
Here we go, into the upstream. It's a nice line there for Noemi. It's quite a safe line she took there, but she certainly committed to it.
Yep, she's given herself some space, but wow, this stagger is also very tricky. So
you can see the power of the water as it goes down there, the fastest part of the course, and really, if you're not quite online, then it all slips away, and that's what's happened there for Noemi. And once again, It is about delivering all 23 gates, which sounds easy from here in the commentary box, but on a fast, powerful whitewater course like this, then we are watching the best in the world. It is the World Championship semi-final. And at the moment, Fiona Penny of Great Britain leads ahead of Camille Prigent of France, Anthony Galaskova of the Czech Republic, as we're starting to get towards confirming our 10 finalists. That final, of course, will be live at Planet Canoe, and that's at 12 o'clock today, Central European time. So join us for that. So now on course we have for Poland, Lucy Nesnidilova. Sorry, it's for the Czech Republic, Lucy Nesnidilova.
She's a very exciting young paddler. Has an aggressive style. She's really attacking out here, but she's online as well, and she's using the water.
Well, you're right, she's in touch on the top split. She hasn't made a final in any of the World Cups this year, but, well, this would be a good time to make the first final of the season. As we come into the World Championships, the last race of the season, and nicely through 17 to 18, and still in touch. Look, 0.14, but has she just picked up a 2-second penalty? I think that's included in that split time. So a little bit of a plan B here for Nesnidilova. She's got to keep that concentration, and yes, it's she went out wide, didn't she, from the upstream, and has not found that line. And 2 late penalties. They're mounting up, and again, the power of the bottom of the course has taken its toll, and from virtual race leader nearly down into 11th place.
Yeah, such a shame. She was on a fantastic run, and yeah, it just all came apart. As soon as she exited wide from that last upstream, you could tell that that last stagger was going to be difficult for her.
So now for the United States of America, it is Avi Liebfarth, who, well, a very exciting young paddler, and has been junior world champion this season, 12th in Tokyo, so already has super experience really for someone who's still actually a junior category in 2021.
Yeah, I remember in 2019, I think she was racing her first World Cup here and was in the final, and we were, you know, thinking, who is this young gun that's come onto the circuit and is already, you know, mixing it in with the top 10.
It's a very attacking style, really leaves nothing on the river. Looks like she was a bit tight into the upstream gate 10. Confirmation there, a 2-second penalty added to the time, but was in touch on the top section.
Yeah, she has a very rapid style, and you can see she's going for it out here today. Also competing in the C1, so, you know, she'll take the learnings from today in the kayak into her C1 race tomorrow as well.
And of course the extreme slalom as well, which will be aired at 4:30 Central European time tomorrow, Sunday. Head-to-head racing, the new addition to the Paris 2024 Olympic programme, and well, it's got a massive entry, 140 entries from over 30 nations. And again, just a little mistake at the bottom, but Avi Liebfarth of the United States of America stops in 7th place. She was nice into the upstream gate 20, but another late penalty just blemishes that run. So still Fiona Penny of Great Britain leading ahead of Camille Prigent of France, Galaskova of the Czech Republic, and we're down to 12 boats to go. So Penny, Prigent and Galaskova are looking well placed for a place in the World Championship final. Well, here is the reigning world champion of 2019, Eva Tersel of Slovenia. Had a mixed season, really. She had a big disappointment in the games, 24th place in Tokyo. But she has had a pretty solid World Cup season. She finished 3rd overall. You finished 2nd overall in the World Cup season.
Yeah, it was so nice to share the podium with Eva. We've been on the circuit together for a long time, and she's such a great person. So nice to see that consolation prize after what would have been quite a disappointing Olympic Games for her.
So Eva Tersel now coming down into the business end of the course, shall we say. She is our virtual race leader. Whether she's managed to hold on to that, we know there's more time in the course. We've seen Fiona Penny's time be challenged on several occasions, including Mallory Franklin, who managed to find, I think, nearly 3 and a bit seconds in the middle section. So the time is there, but it is all about delivering it all the way down, and a 50-second penalty showing on the downstream gate 9. So the reigning world champion, unless that changes, is not going to defend her title here in Slovakia.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that penalty's been reviewed by the gate judges, by the video judges, and that's a disappointment for Eva.
So only 16th for Eva, and disappointment there for Slovenia. So we will crown a new world champion in 2021 here in Bratislava. And you'll be able to follow that live. Planet Canoe, 12 o'clock today, Central European time. Now here's an athlete who's had a good season. Victoria Urs of Ukraine. She's made the Olympic final. She's made the World Cup final. And is performing in canoe and kayak.
She is, and yeah, it's just so impressive. Speaking to Victoria, you know, there's no whitewater courses in the Ukraine that she can train in. So, you know, she's having to travel a lot. She's had to make do with the conditions that she has in the Ukraine, which is, I believe, is, you know, just flat water where she lives. So it's so impressive to see an athlete like Victoria doing so well on the international stage.
So she was 8th in Tokyo, 9th at the Po World Cup, the World Cup final 2 weeks ago. And she's continued that form. She's certainly looking fluid. 1 second down on the early split. But actually, I think, judging by some of the names that have already been eliminated, then somewhere around 100 seconds may well be enough to make it into the final.
Absolutely, yeah. And I guess it doesn't matter if you're a second down at the first split, because you can lose up to 5 seconds in this bottom part of the course.
Yeah, critically, look, she's still in touch. 1.61 down on the second split. So Victoria Urs of Ukraine has delivered a solid middle section. Now it's crunch time. It's super tight. And can she deliver the last 3 gates? Because if she can, with a move like that on 20, she may even challenge the race lead, but it's not going to challenge the race lead now that there's a 2-second penalty on gate 22. But Victoria Urs of Ukraine goes into 6th place.
She did such a good job of that upright in the bottom drop, but just got a little bit punished on that stagger afterwards, picked up that touch, and that was very costly.
Yeah, so that could well mean the difference between making the World Championship final and not. But we are now in a position of 10 to go. So Fiona Penny of Great Britain still leading and looking like she is going to get a final here at the World Championship. She's against the world champion of 2015 on course. It is from the Czech Republic, Kateřina Mlynářek-Kudyjová.
Who was medalist at the last World Cup in Po and is clearly on form.
She is. She was 15th in Tokyo, which is probably not reflective of her performance, unless you say, on the podium last time out. She's quick enough, but already a penalty showing on the downstream gate 8. 2-second penalty. It is being reviewed by the video judges.
She had to do a bit of steering and fixing out there, but she's on a solid run so far.
But still, no one has found the kind of time that Mallory Franklin of Great Britain found in the middle section. Unfortunately for Mallory, she had a real big problem at the bottom section and is currently lying right down the order in 9th place. But we know there's time up for grabs in that middle section, and Kateřina hasn't found that time either, and she's losing more time on this upstream gate 20.
Yeah, if you don't penetrate into that eddy and get speed in, it's very punishing, and she's also struggling a little bit with this last difficult stagger at the bottom of the course.
It's also critical, isn't it, to leave the upstream with a bit of forward boat speed. Otherwise you become a bit of a passenger, just hanging on in there, trying to steer the boat around that powerful white water, and only into 12th place. That's a shock. We won't see the 2015 world champion in this World Championship final, but we will see Fiona Penny of Great Britain, who is our current race leader. But here's a popular athlete from the host nation of Slovakia, Jana Dukatova, the 2006 world champion, and she's made it very public that this is her last race. And how good would it be for her to finish that in the final?
Oh, that would be fantastic. Everyone wants to finish on a high, and having the World Championships on your home course in your home country, you know, what an event to finish on.
So 1.59 down at the moment, but that's okay. She just needs to not let that grow, and we know there's time to be had in this middle section. Can Dukatova use that little bit more exposure to this course, that local knowledge, to squeeze out those tenths that are still to be found?
She's such a technical paddler, has a very smooth, efficient style. She's had to, you know, fight a little bit and burn some candles on the top of this course, but if anyone knows how to do the bottom section of the course, it will be Jana. I'm sure she's done that bottom drop Niagara hundreds of times.
Yeah, let's see what the second split tells us with Jana Dukatova. 4.11. Well, that's kind of around 6th place at the moment, so she's going to need to use that knowledge on Niagara to just narrow down that deficit, and that's similar problem to what Mallory Franklin had for Great Britain, who had found so much time in the middle section but then lost it all at the bottom. And Dukatova of Slovakia is not going to make the World Championship final on her last appearance. So, well, an opportunity for us to acknowledge a great career and wish Jana well in her retirement, but 14th place, and it won't be a place in the final.
Yeah, thank you, Jana, for being such a great member of our sport, and congratulations on such an amazing career.
So that does mean that Camille Prigent of France is our second qualifier alongside Fiona Penny of Great Britain, as we watch Martina Wegman of the Netherlands on course now. Martina was 7th in Tokyo.
Martina's a good friend of mine. We trained together in New Zealand. She's married to Mike Dawson, who paddled for New Zealand for a number of years and is now coaching. And yeah, it's so good to see Martina putting down a good qualification run on Friday. Sorry, a few days ago. And yeah, I really hope that she puts down a good run in the semi-final.
And Martina always seems to come alive. The bigger the white water, the more of a smile she has on her face.
Absolutely. She's used to running big rivers and big waterfalls. So, you know, this course is nothing for her. And she'll be using her experience out there today.
Well, she's doing that very well. She's clean so far coming into the upstream gate 14. In touch at the split. And let's see if she's found any time on race leader Fiona Penny of Great Britain.
She's not too out of touch now. Oh, and she's made up time. So she's on a fantastic run.
So she is our virtual race leader. And if she can stay in that position, she'll be in the World Championship final. But it's problems for Martina Wegman of the Netherlands. And our sport is cruel at times. And rejected on the eddy line into 20. She's already gone through the gate line of 21. So unfortunately that 50-second penalty is irreversible. And from virtual race leader to out of the final. And well, our heart goes out to Martina Wegman. But we will see her, I'm sure, in action in the extreme slalom tomorrow afternoon.
We will. And yeah, heartbreaking for Martina. She was on such a good run. I could tell in the bottom drop she just came over a bit too far right and had to jump off the outside stroke, over-rotated, and it was all over. So
bad news for the Netherlands, but good news for Czech Republic. Anthony Galoshkova is our next qualifier. 7 boats to go, and on course is the world champion on this course back in 2011, Karina Kundler of Austria.
Yep, Karina calls this her home course. Even though there is a whitewater course in Vienna, Karina's just spent so much time here. She knows this water well and she's comfortable. She's a strong paddler. She's a very technical paddler, and she'll be absolutely hoping to be in the final today. If not taking out the final, actually.
Yeah, I think if she paddles like that, she's already up on the first split. Can she find that time in the middle section that has proved so elusive for these athletes? And she's good. She's ahead of the game through 13. 0.7 was the advantage on the top section, but she has picked up a 2-second penalty. But she's certainly looking very smooth, very composed. A double world champion, 2010, 2011. Hasn't won a world title since. And, well, I'm sure that would bring a smile to her face, winning a world title here again in 2021.
Absolutely. I think if she could pick a course to win a world championships on, it would be Bratislava.
Well, nicely into the upstream 20, but that's a risky. She's now got to get the weight on the front of the boat again to get the line through these downstreams, which she's done very well indeed. Karina Kühnle of Austria certainly paddling for place in the final, but is she going to take the race lead? She is just inside. And well done, Karina. The world champion of 10 years ago here is in the final and will be able to go for gold later on today. You follow that live, 12 o'clock Central European time today at Planet Canoe.
This is shaping up to be an exciting semi-final.
So far, Kühnle of Austria, Penny of Great Britain, Prigent of France and Galaskova of the Czech Republic, our 4 qualifiers. 6 boats still to go. And on course, Ana Chatila of Brazil. Another paddler who likes the big water and will always bring her attacking style.
Absolutely, I love watching Anna paddle. She always attacks the course.
Already a 2-second penalty at the top part of the course, so Anna is going to need to find some magic in the middle.
Yeah, I wonder if she's aware that there have been a lot of mistakes made out here today and she needs a solid run to make it into the final. She doesn't have to do anything special at this stage, but, you know, just hit those lines and carry speed.
She's been given a 50-second penalty on the downstream gate 9, so that is being reviewed. But if that stands, then that's big disappointment and a big shock for Ana Chatila. So let's just watch her down as the judges do that video review. She's coming through 17 and 18. She's still looking very much in charge, but 50-second penalty is in place.
Oh, she'll be disappointed with that.
And that will mean that provisionally Klaudia Smolinska of Poland is our next qualifier for this World Championship final. Oh, and another miss. Trying a straight line, 21 to 22, and it's all gone wrong for Ana Chatila of Brazil. As you see, it'll go back, but the powerful water, it's more a pride thing, isn't it? Paddle the run out. But it isn't going to be a final today for Ana Chatila of Brazil, but you will see her in action in the canoe event tomorrow morning in those semi-finals.
Yeah, disappointment for Anna. It's a real shame not to see her in the final. She's absolutely capable of being there.
So 5 to go. Kühnle of Austria leading the way ahead of Fiona Penny, Camille Prigent. As we now see Ursa Kragel of Slovenia on course. She took a bronze medal in the Po World Cup race just a fortnight ago. Really reignited her season just at the right time coming into these World Championships. But a penalty early on in the course is not what you need.
Yeah, Ursha dislocated her shoulder a year or so ago and has had to come back from that, and it's taken her a little while to come back to form, but it's so good to see her out there paddling back at her best and really challenging finals again.
So she's been pretty consistent this year, 6th in the World Cup standings of the 2021 season. She won the World Cup in 2012. So she's been around a while and she's still very much in the mix.
She's a very smooth Slovenian style, knows how to use the water, is very experienced.
So we'll get an indication here. She's closed that deficit down to 0.60. So Ursa really starting to come alive at the critical time. Now, into the upstream 20, a little bit low, but that's safe. And, well, if she can deliver these last 3 gates clean, she'll be in the final. It's plan B. Oh, and rejected as she goes towards 22. It was already a pushback, wasn't it? She was trying to get back on the pushback, but the then the wave kicked her back towards the centre of the river, and no penalties, but you can see the time has slipped away, and Urša Kragel of Slovenia, disappointment, only into 18th place, and that puts Kimberly Woods of Great Britain, who had that super fast time, into the final. Now, I never thought that you could make a final with plus 6 seconds of penalties.
Yeah, me neither, and I think, you know, Kim would have thought she'd be in the final, but it's fantastic to see her in there, and it goes to show, you know, you just have to keep fighting, and if you've got a really fast run time, you can absorb some of those penalties.
So next on course with 4 to go, Elena Appel of Germany. So the critical time to beat now is 1:02.46. And, well, this course really just showing no mercy on people, and no respect for the big names.
Yeah, we've seen some dreams crushed in the bottom of the course, some hearts broken. So, yeah, this course is a real challenge.
So Elena Appel's had a good season so far, 4th overall in the World Cup standings. She made 3 out of the 4 World Cup finals, as well as the Under-23 World Championship finals this year.
She's a great paddler in both K1 and C1.
And she's always deceptive. I always think she kind of, she doesn't set the place alight as she comes down, but she is deceptively fast.
Yeah, she seems to just find time in places that nobody else is.
And she's doing that now, isn't she? She's up on the split, so she's absolutely on track for her place in the final. But, well, that's a 2-second penalty. That's not the end of the world. She could still make it into the final, and she's done really well there. You could see she just had to be patient, didn't she, as she came out of the upstream. And it is enough. Into 6th place, and, well, that just shows sort of maturity beyond her years, really. Big mistake on the drop, takes the penalty, but she keeps it calm, and well done. Elena Appel of Germany into the final. So, Kunle leads for Austria ahead of Penny and Prigent. And at the moment, Victoria Urs is lying in 8th place, the next on the bubble, so to speak, to see whether she has done enough for the Ukraine to make it into the World Championship final. As the final Slovakian, Eliška Mintalova, is on course. 9th in Tokyo, and a Junior World Championship silver medalist. And the hopes of Slovakia rest with Eliška for a place in this final. 1.24, that's the job needed at the top.
Yeah, she's such a strong and technical paddler. The combination of those, you know, it's very promising, and she's put down some very fast run times in the past, and it would be fantastic to see her in the... Oh!
Wow, she gets kicked wide, so 12 to 13 bites again, and it is, you have to commit to that move, don't you? And if the wave doesn't pick up like we saw earlier, then you just get left high and dry.
Yeah, you can't take chances. You have to be so accurate there and be coming back under the pole to make sure you do catch that wave. And it's been so punishing for Eliška.
And let's see how punishing that is. This second split will tell us how much she's lost on that move. 8.5 seconds. So she was in a good position on the top section. She's now, well, I don't think there's a way back from there.
No, I don't think there's enough of the course left to be able to make up that time, and it's hugely disappointing for Eliška.
It's a good bottom section here. She's keeping it smooth, keeping it clean, but it's too little too late now. And the time to beat 1:03.24 is well outside of that. So bad news for Slovakia, good news for Ukraine. Victoria Urs makes another final.
Yeah, fantastic result for Victoria Urs.
So 2 to go in this women's kayak World Championship semi-final. We're live from Bratislava in Slovakia. The Olympic champion on course, Ricarda Funk of Germany. We haven't seen her race since the games. She chose not to race in the 2 World Cups. Well, I'm not sure she chose to, but the German selection policy was such that they used the race for development and for identifying the other places for this World Championship team.
Yeah, we saw Ricarda actually racing the extreme slalom in Po, which was a new race for her. and we saw her win the time trial yesterday in extreme slalom. So,
of course, the extreme slalom, you better follow that live at Planet Canoe. 4:30 Central European time tomorrow afternoon. Head-to-head finals. But Ricarda Funk is showing why she is the Olympic champion. 1.24 up on the split, and looking very composed, but also very fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Ricarda is such a fast paddler. And we're seeing that on the split, you know. She's really showing what is capable out there on this course. And, you know, I think she'll be looking to add a World Championship title to her list of accolades.
Yes, because surprisingly, she's a 3-time World Championship medalist, but she's never won a world title, and you're right. Now, that touch on 20, it will be a little bit of a blemish, but it will not stop Ricarda Funk of Germany taking not only the race lead, but a place in the World Championship final. Well done, Ricarda. We will see you in the final. Look at that. That's a 94.21 raw time, plus 4 seconds in penalties. So Ricarda Funk has made a statement there. To the only person still to go down the course is Jessica Fox of Australia, World Cup champion of 2021, 3-time world champion and Olympic bronze medalist from Tokyo this year. And arguably, you could say Jessica has, despite her kind of massive record in the sport, has been paddling better than ever in the last few months.
Yeah, she's just so consistent, and every race putting down faster and faster run times.
She's already ripped open a 1.91 margin over Funk of Germany,
who was 5 seconds up at the second split. So this is a really fast run, and I don't even think we're seeing, you know, the best of Jess yet. She, I think she'll reserve herself for the final and having to battle a little bit there.
Wow, that was super risky from Jessica Fox. You don't normally see Jess taking those risks, particularly in a semi-final. They are reviewing it. There's no penalty showing so far, I have to say, but I guess that would just be normal in this situation where it's clearly a little bit of a close call. But 2.19 up on Funk of Germany, and of course at that point Ricarda was 5 seconds up.
Yeah, so this is a really fast time coming together, and you know, I think it's one of the strengths of Jess is she's able to fight and to, you know, get herself out of trouble, and she's had to fight again, but I think, you know, she's fast enough to have a few mistakes out on course and still make it through. So
Jessica Fox of Australia takes the race lead, but it is a provisional race lead. There is still a review going on the downstream gate 12. No penalty showing at this point in time. Here we actually get to see it. She really cut it fine.
Oh.
And, well, that is tight, and we'll wait to see what that means. She still has an asterisk by her name, so provisionally into the World Championship final as the race leader, and will go off last, but understandably she looks concerned at this point in time.
Yeah.
So whilst we wait for that, then Ricarda Funk of Germany, Karina Kundler of Austria, Fiona Penny of Great Britain, Camille Prigent of France, Galaskova of Czech Republic, Zvolinska of Poland, Appel of Germany, Woods of Great Britain and Urs of Ukraine are all into the final. Here our video judges are looking at that gate 12 for Jessica Fox, and that essentially means Fox or Lafont for the final place in this World Championship final. Well,
wow.
I didn't expect this tension.
We did not, and I think Jess will be feeling a bit nervous down there. Nobody likes to have an asterisk by their name when they get to the bottom of the course, and we're just seeing the replay now, so it'll be in the hands of the video judges now as to whether Jess gets a penalty added or not.
So if you're not familiar with the rules of canoe slalom, your whole head and at least a part of your boat must go through between the poles. And that's what the judges will be looking at, all the camera angles they can possibly use to determine whether that has occurred. Well, that concludes the women's kayak semi-finals here live from Bratislava in Slovakia. We'll obviously keep you updated with the outcome of the video review as to whether Jessica Fox will progress through into the final. And And of course, up next, we will see the men's kayak semi-final. Myself, Andy Maddock, alongside me, Luca Jones of the New Zealand team, will continue to bring you all the action as it unfolds, and it's certainly unfolding here.
Absolutely. My heart's been in my mouth quite a few times over this women's semi-final.
So we've seen some big names eliminated at this stage of the competition. The reigning world champion, Eva Tersel of Slovenia, doesn't progress through into the final. Also, Mallory Franklin of Great Britain, who clearly found some time in the middle section but lost it all at the bottom, has to settle for 13th place.
Liska Mintalova as well. She'll be disappointed not to be in the final.
Yeah, no Slovaks in the final. That's a big surprise given the strength of the women's kayak in Slovakia. So we are still waiting for that final decision in this women's kayak semi-final. The tension is quite incredible here, as basically Jessica Fox waits to see if she is determined to have negotiated gate 12, and she has been given a 50-second penalty. The results are now just coming in. A 50-second penalty awarded to Jessica Fox of Australia, and that is a big shock here.
That is a huge shock, and you know, it just goes to show how difficult the sport is. For Jess, you know, that 50-second penalty, it was a matter of centimetres.
Well, it was, I guess, we've got to ultimately let the judges do their job and have a fair competition, but I'm slightly disappointed there that we're not going to have this big Fox-Funk showdown in the final.
Yeah, I wanted to see a Fox-Funk showdown, and you know, it's just, yeah, she'll be so disappointed, and I think it's very uncharacteristic actually of Jess to incur penalties. She's usually such a clean paddler, but it's the nature of the sport.
Well, from a shock in the women's kayak semi-final, our attention now turns to this men's kayak semi-final. 40 boats from the heats are now racing it out in reverse order of those results from the heats for just 10 places in the World Championship final. Vit Prindiš of the Czech Republic will be a key name to watch, because he has won the last 2 World Cup races of the season. But of course, Boris Neveu of France was the winner of the heats. And well, he's having a good season, isn't he?
He is, yeah, and it's nice to see him on such good form. I'm really excited to see Yuri Priskovich race. He's not raced since the Olympics. It'll be good to see what he can do out there. It's
a good point, isn't it? And I guess this presents the ideal opportunity. You normally don't have a World Championships in an Olympic year, so a unique opportunity to do the double.
It is, yeah, and I think a lot of people will be motivated to try and do that.
So we've just seen Ricarda Funk of Germany. Well, she's in pole position to do that. She'll go off last in the women's kayak final.
Yeah, Ricarda, Yuri, Benjamin Savchek, and Jessica Fox in the C1.
Correct. So we are underway with racing. Rafał Polaczyk of Poland, our first competitor. And interesting, this course is quite a lot longer than we saw in the heats. And in some ways, that's possibly quite good. The heats was brutal in the sense of so tight. It was being determined by tenths and hundredths of a second.
Yeah, and it's incredible, you know. There's a lot going on out there on course. You're dealing with the whitewater, but then at the end of the day, the times are so tight when the course isn't as difficult as we see it is today.
So Rafał Polaczyk, no time to chase, but he has the opportunity to put a time down that others will be pressured to do. He's a 3-time under-23 World Championship finalist, 28 years of age.
Haven't seen him on the circuit in a little while, but it's great to see him on the Polish team again.
Yeah, he has done a few World Cups this season, but he hasn't been of the same vintage Rafał Polaczyk that we've seen from a few years ago. He hasn't made a final yet this year. But, well, he's certainly looking smooth and composed. But did he just touch that last gate? He did. So 4 seconds of penalties, 92.68. And Rafał Polaczyk has left the door open, shows his disappointment there. So we're live from Bratislava in Slovakia for the men's kayak semi-final here at the 2021 ICF Canoe Slalom World Championships. We have just seen, well, a really exciting women's kayak semi-final, and the big news from there was that Jessica Fox of Australia, such a marginal call, but that is the sport and that is what we set out, has missed the final.
Yeah, I'm still a little bit shocked about that, to be honest, and yeah, just disappointed not to see that showdown that we were hoping for in the final.
And now, on course, Matteo Piazzizzo of France, who is, well, himself a very accomplished paddler, World Cup champion in 2016, 30 years of age, and he did take a World Championship bronze medal in 2014, but getting into the French team is a challenge some years, and with the depth of the French athletes, then it can be quite hard to keep a sustained campaign.
It is, and in 2014 actually at the World Championships, it was an all-French podium in the K1 men, so it goes to show the depth of paddling in France.
Yeah, that was the year Boris Neveu took the world title in Deep Creek, United States of America. Boris will be the last off in this men's kayak semi-final. That's the fastest qualifier from the heats. But a good start so far from Matteo Piazzizzo. But another paddler just taking the touch with the bows. You do have to jump into that eddy, don't you? You have to take the risk in order to get the reward.
You do, and you can't hesitate on the lip of that drop.
So it is a good time. It is into first place, 88.81. But that 2-second penalty, the only real blemish to what was a really smooth run.
Yeah, he was paddling really well out there, and I think he'll be a bit gutted about that touch and the drop, and he'll just have to wait and see what the other men do in the semi-final.
So next to start for the Russia Canoe Federation, it is Nikita Gubenko. Already a personal best through into this men's kayak semi-final. 56th at the World Championships 2 years ago in La Seu in Spain. Now looking for a place in this World Championship final.
You know, it's such an art to slalom, and being in that kind of mindset where you want to attack the course, but you don't want to attack it too much. You don't want to rush, you know, your strokes or your lines and not be using the water. So it's a real fine art to how you approach this course in terms of pace and, you know, precision.
That's really useful insight there from Luke Jones of New Zealand alongside myself, Andy Maddock, in the commentary box. And it is, because it isn't just about setting off like a rocket and, you know, taking the risks, because inevitably you make mistakes. And actually the art of a good slalom paddler is very much around having some mental capacity to make quick decisions, isn't it? It's not being totally on your limit.
Yes, absolutely. You've got to be reacting in the moment, making good decisions out there when things don't go to plan. And yeah, sometimes you do need to slow down and be patient to use the water.
Well, that's almost identical there for Gubenko of the Russian Canoe Federation, running in as Matteo Piazzizzo, our current race leader for France. And just look how hard he had to work there to stay online. And he has done that, but he hasn't done it clean. He has picked up 2 late penalties. And 95.80, good enough for second place at the moment. But it's, again, the bottom section is so critical on this course. I remember when I first came here in, well, probably in the late 1990s, the bottom drop had a big rock right in the middle. Do you remember it?
I don't know, but that sounds dangerous.
It was. There was quite a lot of boats got wrapped on it, and it wasn't long before they modified the chute to be a little bit safer, because you basically had to decide left or right, and if you didn't commit fully, then you tended to get stuck in the middle.
And lose it. Yeah, nobody likes to lose their kayak out there.
So on course for Brazil, it is Pedro Goncalves, better known as Pepe, who is up on the split time. 6th at the Rio Olympic Games. And, well, we haven't seen him racing since the Tokyo Games in canoe slalom, but he's starting to take the extreme slalom really seriously.
He is, and he's very good at it, actually. He's a dynamic paddler. He's very talented. He can do a lot of tricks in his kayak. These kayaks are 9 kilos. They're made of carbon fiber, so they're quite light. You can really throw them around.
And a real contrast from the extreme slalom boats that are, I think, was it 18 kilos, the minimum weight, and
made out of plastic, so yeah, they feel very heavy compared with these slalom kayaks.
And they definitely don't have the agility that you get. You can't throw them around in the same way as you can these slalom boats. But that's supreme there from Pepe into the upstream gate 20. Surely he's found a bit of time from that move on the drop.
Oh, it's the best we've seen, actually, I think, all day.
He was super committed, and he got the reward. He goes into the race lead, and a great run there. He knows it. Pedro Goncalves of Brazil takes the race lead, 88.15, ahead of Matteo Biazizzo of France and Nikita Gubenko of the Russian Canoe Federation. That's the move that got him those extra bits of time on the bottom of the course.
Oh, and it's so difficult to be accurate. You know, you're coming in and you want your bow of the boat to be under the pole, but obviously if it kicks up just a little bit, you'll incur a 2-second penalty. So very impressive from Pepe.
So from one Brazilian to another now, it's Matteo Desnos, 27-year-old Pan American champion of 2019. Yet to make a final in the 2021 season, but has been progressively getting closer, and finished 12th is his best performance in the World Cup season.
Yeah, he's got a very smooth style on the water. He's not trying to overpower anything. He's being very accurate with his boat and using the boat, using the water to get speed.
Well, it is a very French style that he has, isn't it? And very effective, taking some risks on the upstream 10 and 11. And so far, a penalty is confirmed on the upstream gate 3. There was a review on it, but the penalty has now been confirmed.
He's looking very composed in this bottom part of the course. And he's not too far off Pepe's time, so we'll hold our breaths as he comes into this bottom drop and hope that he has a good line.
Oh, another athlete taking the penalty with the bow of the boat. And did he get a 50 there?
It was hard to say, actually.
I'm not the judge, so we'll leave it there, but he certainly was clattering the poles, and it's all gone wrong at the bottom part of the course. Into third place for Matteo Desnos of Brazil. And yeah, it's so easy. Once you've taken the touch on the way into that upstream gate 20, you've really got to make sure you still get the gate. Here we see it. Let's have a quick look. Oh, we don't get to see the full one. We've got to not only get the gate, but you've obviously got to hold your line as well for that critical last 3 gate sequence.
It's really difficult when the pole is swinging to realise what's going on, really.
So the first of our Italians on course now, Christian De Dionigi of Italy. 5th at the Markkleeberg World Cup earlier on this season. Seems a long time ago now. That was back in June. Lots of water flown under the bridge, so to speak.
Yes, absolutely. It does feel like a lifetime ago, those first World Cups of the season.
And a penalty early on in the course, and just looking a little bit sticky now for Christian. He just needs to use this double upstream 10 and 11 to refocus, find that run of the boat, and try and attack the race lead time, currently held by Pedro Goncalves of Brazil.
Yeah, he's had to use some extra energy at the top of the course, and we've seen his lines haven't been optimal. So it'll be interesting to see what his second split time is.
Well, we won't have to wait long now as he comes through 17 and 18, 2.36. So he's not lost any time, but he's not found any time either. And he has picked up a penalty on the downstream 18. So Christian De Dionigi struggling a little bit at this stage of the competition. That's super tight on the exit. Is it too tight?
Possibly. He's had to, he's had to really work for the time in these last few gates, and that's not the run that he would have been hoping to put down.
No, he's really making a name for himself in extreme slalom, And, well, it's not going to be, I don't think, for him a place in the final in this canoe slalom competition, but one to watch in the extreme slalom competition. Although, actually, no, he didn't qualify, did he? It was Giovanni De Gennaro who got the Italian place in the extreme slalom.
Yeah, so he'll be disappointed not to have made it through in extreme slalom, especially after such a great result in Po.
So we're live from Bratislava in Slovakia. Great autumn sunshine here. The water's flowing off the river Danube on this great course, and a highly technical course, as we watch our next competitor, Galindo Cirello of Switzerland. His best result of the season so far was 14th in the last World Cup of the season, so he's on the right trajectory. He's going to have to go a little bit higher than that to make the World Championship final.
Yeah, he'll know that he has to put down his best run out there today to make the final, and it's going to be competitive to be in the top 10 in the K1 men.
So how have you found, Luca, the preparation for this competition? We've the whole kind of event has had to operate in a bubble. You know, in a hotel, everyone's staying in the same place, lots of testing going on. Has that changed how you would prepare for the championship?
Not really, and it's actually, you know, got a bit of an Olympic feel with all of the athletes staying in the same place. We're staying at a big sports resort which has a lot of great facilities, and I think we're all enjoying ourselves. You know, leading up into a big event, you know, you're tapering, so you're not doing too much training and you've got a bit of extra time on your hands. So it's nice to spend that time hanging out with other athletes, spending time with your friends from other countries who, you know, some of us won't see each other for, you know, 6 or so months. So it's been quite fun, actually.
So Galindo Cirello of Switzerland had a great second section, a great middle section, but then 2 touches at the bottom and into 4th place. Here we see one of the areas where Galindo just lost some time. So still, Goncalves leading for Brazil, ahead of Biedzitzo of France and Desnos of Brazil. Myself, Andy Maddock, alongside me, Luca Jones of New Zealand. As we now watch Pavel Igel of the Russian Canoe Federation. So Pavel was 20th in Tokyo, but he is a World Championship medalist. He took the bronze medal in the 2018 World Championships. And Luca, you talked about we won't see people for some time. So what are your plans now? What will you do after Bratislava? How will you kind of prepare for the 2022 season?
Yeah, I mean, I've been building up to the Tokyo Olympics for 5 years, so I think I'm going to take a little bit of time off and just hang out with my family and friends who I don't get to hang out with as much when I'm training full-time. So I'm really looking forward to going back to New Zealand for the summer and, yeah, just going to enjoy doing some different activities as well. But it's just, you know, after not paddling in 2020 and not being on the circuit, it was really nice this year to turn up and just see everyone again. And it just made me realise how great the slalom community is, and yeah, just how nice everyone is to hang out with.
Yes, and I think it's certainly the pandemic made people realise that as we watch Pavel Igel take the virtual race lead in the middle section for the Russian Canoe Federation as he comes into the bottom drop. Not taking too much risk there, keeping it clean. And hopefully we won't be affected by the pandemic in 2022. We can but hope.
Yeah, I think everyone's hoping that.
So Pavel Igel of the Russian Canoe Federation into 3rd place. So, well, in fact, that was where Pedro Goncalves of Brazil was super fast on the in and out of the upstream gate 20, wasn't it? And that's reflected there. Igel of the Russian Canoe Federation, nothing wrong, but just has to settle for 3rd. Still, Goncalves leading for Brazil, but we have 32 boats still to go in this men's kayak semi-final. It's the World Championship semi-final. 5 world champions in this field, and it's going to be super tight to get a place in that top 10 and in the final. We'll be live with that final at Planet Canoe, and that'll be 12 o'clock Central European time today.
Isaac Ostrom from Sweden, doesn't actually live in Sweden, lives in Slovakia, and I would say this is his home course. He knows it very well, and he's putting together a great run out there using his experience. and his time training here in Bratislava to his advantage.
So he was 15th in the Rio Olympic Games. His compatriot Eric Holmer went to the games in Tokyo. And yes, you're right, he's certainly showing his knowledge of this course. It's actually deceptively shallow, isn't it, this course?
It is, yeah. In some areas you have to be careful not to put your paddle too deep in the water or you will touch the bottom.
It's very smooth though, isn't it? It's smooth and slimy, so if you do touch the bottom, you don't trip over your blade too much.
No, it's okay actually. It just is a bit off-putting sometimes. And we've seen Isaac coming into this bottom drop. He will have done this hundreds of times, but it just goes to show how difficult this move is. And he's definitely lost some time there.
Oh, and because he was up on the second split, he'd opened the advantage over race leader Gonçalves of Brazil, but Isaac has lost it all at the bottom. 3.91 and only fourth place. He'll be reflecting on that, and so I'm sure a few people will be at the end of today.
Yeah, that bottom drop is, you know, the race is going to be won or lost there, absolutely.
Well, at least he kept his calm, he kept his patience, and he delivered that clean. But it was the time taken to do that that has really hurt him hard. So Gonçalves leads for Brazil, 88.15. Biedzitso of France in second, and Eigel of the Russian Canoe Federation in third. So on course now it is Sergei Maymistov of the Russian Canoe Federation. Best this season, 11th in the Markkleeberg World Cup in Germany. And we haven't seen the Russian Canoe Federation racing in the last two World Cups of the season. So a little bit of an unknown coming into this competition, and certainly potentially coming in having really focused just on delivery here.
Yeah, it's really interesting how you prepare for a World Championship. Some people prefer to do races in the lead-up, just to refine a few things around their race prep, and other athletes prefer not to race and to just focus on building up to that one race, that one World Championship.
So in and out the upstream gate 14, and coming up on the split, 3.75 down on the top split, so that's quite a margin to have to find, and that's extended coming into this final drop. It's funny how every big drop gets called Niagara, doesn't it? It's like there's a Niagara at La Seu and there's a Niagara here. But this is the biggest really on the circuit, isn't it?
It is, yeah. This is the big drop of canoe slalom.
So Sergei Maymistov of the Russian Canoe Federation crosses the finish line into sixth place, and well, the time slipped away at the top and never really found a way back from there. I love these slow-mos. You get such a good perspective of just the power of the water and well, just how good these athletes are. I've said it a few times in the past, but we are watching the best in the world racing, and they make it look easy.
They do, and you know, the fastest runs out there will be the runs that look easy, that look effortless, but they're the ones that are fast.
So respect to all these athletes, because this is very technical discipline, years of practice, and it all comes down to the next 100 seconds or 90 seconds as to whether they get a place in the World Championship final here in Bratislava, Slovakia. Here's an athlete on course who's had to fight to get his place here, Noah Hegger of Germany. So the German team effectively operating a bit of a continuous assessment through the season, so they run a selection series within Germany and then also use the World Cups, some of the World Cups, to continually assess the athletes and ultimately determine who goes to the World Championships. And Noah came through that process, having made a final in the World Cup final.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Noah and his paddling. He, you know, has a very smooth, efficient style, but is also a strong German. So, you know, I don't think we've seen the best of him yet, really. He's just going to continue to improve. He's still a young athlete.
But he's turned a deficit at the top to an advantage in the middle. Now he's just got to keep it clean on these last few gates, and he is going to challenge the race lead time. I think it's going to be a good time here. 88.15 to beat, and he finds time at the bottom. Noah Hegger of Germany is into the race lead, 86.25. And, well, it wasn't the tidiest bottom section either.
No, he had to fight for it, but he did a very good job of that. And, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the cutoff will be for the top 10. I think these times will continue to fall.
Of course, still to come, we have Hannes Eigner, the German world champion of 2018, bronze medal from the Tokyo Games. As next up, the third German in this final, sorry, semi-final, Stefan Hengst, who's, well, made a name for himself more in extreme slalom up to now, but he's very much capable of making it into the final. 13th is his best in the World Cup season this season. And he is up on the top section as well, although this is where Hegger was not quite as good, our race leader. So the critical bit will be, can Stefan Hengst of Germany...
Can he keep this boat moving?
Can he hold on to that advantage in the middle section? He's made it hard for himself. He's got a 2-second penalty on the downstream gate 9.
But as we've seen from other athletes, more than 2 seconds can be won or lost in the bottom drop. So it'll be interesting to see if he can make a good job of that. We've seen the best job of that done by Pepe earlier on.
Well, given that he's got a 2-second penalty, this is a great run still from Stefan Hengst of Germany. He's 2.25 down, which isn't great from his perspective, but it is a respectable run given it has a penalty in it, and he's good on the bottom section. Can he have found some time on the bottom? Can he damage limit here? Well, into third place, 88.66. So Noah Hegger still leads for Germany, ahead of Pedro Goncalves of Brazil, and Stefan Hengst of Germany, their slots into third place.
It's a bit of a clumsy touch on that gate. He'll be kicking himself, because without that, that's a very good run time.
We can see that time's really starting to fall. 86.25, the lead time. And we've got some big names, including the Olympic champion, Yuri Priskovic of the Czech Republic, 2-time world champion as well. And then there's the likes of Vit Prindis, who's in great form, winner of the last 2 World Cups of this 2021 season. But on course now, let's turn our attention to Dariusz Popiela of Poland, who is really, really strong paddler, and he leaves nothing on the river.
No, he's really attacking this top part of the course, but that's his style, you know. He's not going to leave anything up there.
You can just see how physical he makes it. And, well, he's been rewarded so far with 1.1 up on the top section. He is a World Championship finalist in the past. He's had a few medals at World Cup level and at European Championship level, but never been on the podium in the individual event at the World Championships.
He's such a nice guy, so popular on the circuit, that I think everyone would be delighted to see him on the podium at the World Championships.
Well, he's got to make the final first, and he's still in touch. He's down now by just under a second. So this run into the upstream gate 20, this jump is going to determine his place in the final, and that's pretty good.
That is a good job. He kept his speed running. He wasn't tight on the gate, but that didn't matter because he got a good exit, and that's important.
Oh, and he's good on the power there. He doesn't have to wait for 23. Popiela of Poland is going to cross the line. Oh, into 6th place. The time has slipped away, and it is provisionally clean, although it did appear there was a review on the downstream gate 17. So, once again, you can see just how easily time can slip away. He didn't seem to do much wrong there.
No, it was a solid run. I guess he was, you know, just losing little bits of time everywhere.
So, Hegger still leads for Germany, ahead of Goncalves of Brazil and Hengst of Germany. That's the top 3 with 27 boats still to go in this men's kayak World Championship semi-final here in the autumn sunshine in Bratislava in Slovakia. We're live on Planet Canoe, watching Michal Smolan of the United States of America on course now. 5th at the Tokyo Games.
Yeah, he put down a really great performance in Tokyo. took on a move direct that we only saw 2 people do in the final. So he's a very exciting paddler to watch. Coached by his dad, has recently moved to France actually to train at the course in Paris.
He's just dropped low there. That was a big error there. Michael just dropped off the wave and dropped low into the 11. So the advantage on the top will have been trimmed. Let's see by how much.
Yeah, it'll be important for him to just stay composed, not try and make up that time, but just stick to his race plan and just try and make the best job of the bottom of this course.
Well, nearly 3 seconds has gone, plus the deficit, the advantage he had at the top. So Smolan of the United States needs to go nicely in, and super clean there. You can't get much tighter than that. Precision is the name of the game, and he delivers, but it looks like the boat has touched gate 22. And Michael Smolan of the United States, who was a bronze medalist at the 2015 World Championships, is not going to progress into today's final.
Yeah, such a shame. He has some really good parts in that run.
Well, you can just see how hard these athletes are working, how much they're putting it on the line to get into the final, and well, the slightest mistake gets punished harshly in this powerful, fast white water.
Yeah, it's very unforgiving getting offline on this course.
So now on course, Marcello Beda of Italy. His World Cup best this season, only 19th. So a place in the final would really set his season alight.
Yeah, he'll be looking to put down his best run here at the World Championships.
Well, he's in touch on the top split. He's our virtual leader, but he has taken a touch on the downstream gate 9.
He's done a great job of that double up.
Yeah, that's where Smolan of the United States had the problems. No problems for the Italian athlete now coming down towards the second split. It's the upstream 14. And still keeping it smooth and really attacking this. This move 17 to 18 is, there's a bit of time in there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very tight gate sequence. The poles are close together and the athletes have to be very accurate in threading their boat in.
Well, it's very, very tight there for Marcello Beda of Italy. And, well, he's trailing a little bit, just under 2 seconds down. But he's absolutely giving it his all, and he's delivered those last 3 downs very nicely indeed. But into 5th place, 88.82, and we're starting to see just how tight it is, particularly around that 88.6 mark. There's hardly any margin there. There's a whole load of people packed in just on a couple of tenths.
Yes, 3rd to 6th is a very tight race. And I think we'll see that out there in the K1 men. You know, it'll come down to tenths of a second between making the final and not. And
good news for Marcello, actually. He has had his penalty removed. So he's got into 2nd place.
Yeah, so sometimes these penalties look like a touch because the gate's moving, but actually it's just the water splashing up and making those poles move. So it's fantastic that we have the video judges and that they can review the penalties and really make sure that it's the right call.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because it's quite easy to see the judges in a negative sense, is that they're there to give me penalties. But we've seen a few times, yes, they do give penalties, but equally we've also seen them review penalties and remove them as well.
Yeah, and you know, these gate judges on the side of the course, they're out there all day doing their best work, and I think it's great for them that they also have backup with the video judges, that things can be slowed down because, you know, these paddlers go through the gates so quickly that sometimes it's hard to see what exactly has gone on.
No, I think that's good, and they're all volunteers and they do a fantastic job, the gate judges. So Lucas Vero now of Switzerland on course, who made the final in Po just a fortnight ago. And he was super quick in the semi-final of that Po race. Didn't quite perform in the final, finished 9th in that final.
But definitely a capable paddler.
Absolutely, and he's well, done nothing wrong on this run, but he is trailing by 2.8 on the second split. stops the clock in 8th place, 90.37 seconds, and he's kind of shaking his head, thinking, well, what have I done wrong there?
Yeah, I think he just felt time slipping away everywhere, really. No big errors.
So a clean run for Lucas Vero of Switzerland, 90.37, but it is still Noah Heger leading for Germany, ahead of Marcelo Beda of Italy and Pedro Goncalves of Brazil. So next on the course, it is Martin Srabotnik of Slovenia. He's a World Championship finalist from 2017. So no stranger to being in this position. And he made the final at the SEO World Cup just 3 weeks ago, finished 8th place there.
The Slovenians had a very successful World Cup in Po. Saw a lot of paddlers from Slovenia on the podium. Martin's just had a little bit of trouble through that tight gate sequence.
Looked like he caught his upstream edge. He did well to not flip the boat there, actually, but he does take a 2-second penalty as a result. So he's going to settle down and recompose himself as he comes down one of the only flat bits of the course.
Yeah. You really want to savour that flag section to recompose for the tricky bottom section.
And is that, true in the sense of, on a course like this where it's continuously relentless, how easy is it to recompose yourself?
Not super easy, actually, but it's time enough to take a deep breath and really dig in deep for the bottom of the course. It's where things get really tricky.
And I guess, unfortunately, we're seeing that with Martin. He's picked up a 50-second penalty on the downstream gate 18. Again, just not quite finding his groove today. And down in 16th place, so Srabotnik of Slovenia will not progress into the World Championship final. Here we see that error at the top. Just caught the upstream edge, resulted in a penalty, but also just lost his rhythm. And that was gate 18 that we see, where he picked up the 50-second penalty. So Heger leading for Germany still, 86.25, but still some big names to come. And in fact, it won't be long before we see the two-time world champion and Olympic champion Jiri Preskovic of the Czech Republic. But first up, Erik Holmer of Sweden, Olympic finalist in Tokyo 2020.
Yeah, Eric had quite a selection process on his hands for the Olympics, and I think everyone's delighted to see him put down a good run when it counted to get his ticket to Tokyo.
And he's an under-23 World Championship bronze medalist from 2018. And he's in touch on the first split, just 5/100ths down.
I think probably one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, Eric. Just always has a smile on his face.
So a little bit sticky, that 12-13 move. We've seen so many runs challenged by that. None more so than Jessica Fox of Australia in the women's kayak semi-final, who cut the line and, well, asked the question of the judges, and the result was a 50-second penalty. And a big shock that the multiple world champion in the women's kayak event, Olympic medalist on 3 occasions, is not in the World Championship final. Erik Holmer just lost a bit of time in the middle, and now a touch on the bottom. And it's a little bit too much to ask to get into the top 3 now.
Yeah, a few too many mistakes out there, and obviously that touch doesn't help. So not the run that he wanted to put down there today.
So into 9th place at the moment for the Swedish athlete. Here we see that line. It's Luca, what would your preference be? Giving edge in going into that up is a high-risk move, isn't it? It's a bit better to be a bit closer to the eddy line and jump in with a flatter boat. Is that how you would do it?
Yeah, I would jump with my bow just behind the poles, just to be sure that it doesn't pop up and hit the gate.
So next to start, Bradley Forbes-Cryans of Great Britain. 4th at the last World Championships in La Seu 2 years ago in Spain. And 6th at the Tokyo Games just a month or so ago. Ooh. Stretching a little bit, 3-4 there.
It's a bit of a costly error at the top of the course, and he'll have that on his mind, but hopefully it won't distract him too much and he can put together a solid bottom of the run.
Well, that's given that mistake, he's just 1/10 down on our race leader, Hager of Germany. So he just needs to refocus, as you said, Luca, and keep taking that challenge to the race leader of Germany.
Yeah, and he's such a strong, dynamic paddler, very exciting to watch. He doesn't spend much time around the poles. He ducks and dives, and yeah, he's putting together a solid run despite that early mistake.
And of course, compatriot Joe Clark, the Olympic champion of Rio 2016, was eliminated in the heats, which was a big surprise.
Yeah, that was a huge shock, actually.
Bradley Forbes-Grimes now, a little bit of a deficit, and takes a touch on the upstream 20, such a critical gate. And, well, what is the damage going to be? Well, it's significant now with another penalty on the downstream 22. Bradley Forbes-Grimes, the Flying Scotsman, is outside of the final. And, well, disappointment there, you can see it. He knows it. 2 touches, and really, he was in touch all the way up, but that mistake. Here we see it, running into gate 20, the bows bounce up, and, well, that was where the damage was done on 20 and 22.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too early with his jump, and didn't quite make it into the eddy. Tail got caught in the flow, and it was very costly.
So on course now, Lucien Delfour of Australia, 8th in Tokyo.
He's a very smooth paddler. Designs his own kayaks, actually. He's paddling, a kayak that he designed himself, I think, along with Warwick Draper from Australia. So it's always interesting when paddlers innovate and try and create something new.
Yes, it's interesting. I think he was one of the early pioneers with the fins as well, wasn't he? Some people still use them. The rules have changed a little bit around. They must be integrated into the boat now, aren't they? But just using a bit like surfboard fins. They're not quite as prominent, but to try and give some lateral stability in the boat.
Yeah, I paddled with fins, and they were amazing, actually. But now fins, long, sharp fins, they're not allowed, and we have to paddle more with rails now. But you can still feel them and still have an impact on how the boat reacts in the water.
So Lucien is just a little bit down on the middle section, but if he can keep it clean here, which he does on 20, he's delivered the critical move. He could still be in touch with a place in the top 3 here. But there is a review going on 17-18, so it's a little bit risky at the moment. Into 3rd place for Lucien Delfour of Australia, and a clean run showing on the scores so far, but there is an asterisk against his name. There is some reviewing on gates 17 and 18. I wonder if that's 17. It is, and then this is 18. So 18 doesn't look like a problem. It's 17 that's probably being looked at.
So he'll have a little bit of a nervous wait, like Jess did, actually, to see if that asterisk comes off.
So whilst that review is ongoing, we'll bring you the outcome of it very shortly, but let's focus in on Juan Crespo of Spain, who's on the top of the course, and he was a medalist at the last World Championships, taking bronze in 2019.
And what a place to do it, on his home course in Laseo, in front of his friends and family, to get that World Championships medal. It was such a delight.
Yeah, Spanish 2nd and 3rd in that race 2 years ago, and he's got some time at the top of the course. He's found 0.63, but we've seen quite a lot of people managing to find time at the top. But Hager was obviously good on the middle and the bottom.
Yeah, I think Hager wasn't the fastest we've seen in the top section, and the split is off Noah. So.
And just going back to Lucien Delfour, then I think, just looking, he has moved down the order. He has been given a 2-second penalty, and that has moved him down from 3rd to 7th place. So disappointment there, but it could have been worse, I think.
Yeah, it could have been worse.
So back to Juan Crespo of Spain. Now that 2-second penalty on gate 9 has really just dented his semi-final run and his chances of getting into the final. He's battling hard. He's keeping on line in the last few gates. It's going to be a quick time, but it's just going to be on the wrong end. Into 7th place, 89.05. It is still Hege leading for Germany, Beda of Italy in 2nd, Goncalves of Brazil in 3rd. And we're now past the halfway point, actually, in this men's kayak semi-final here at the World Championships.
It's my teammate Finn Butcher on the start line, and I think my heart rate has increased a few beats. I'd really love to see the Kiwi flag in the final today. We've got Callum and Finn, both in the semi-final, both very capable of making the top 10.
Yeah, how good would that be? Because I have to say, Finn has shown some outstanding performances on a couple of occasions this season, but not quite delivered it all the way down the line, and a little mistake there on 3.
Yeah, that was a bit uncharacteristic. He looks like he's being a bit conservative out here today. But obviously there's a lot in the bottom of the course, and Finn has a good mindset, and he'll be looking to put together just a full solid run. He's had some really good times in semi-finals, and maybe just a touch keeping him out of some of those World Cup finals.
Well, 1.69 is not irretrievable, and there is a review going on, though, on the upstream gate 4, but no penalty showing at this point in time. It does look slightly more conservative than you would normally expect from him.
Yeah, especially after seeing him in the qualifications. You know, he was really going for it, really just looking free out there, and he doesn't look as free as we'd normally see Finn.
Having said that, though, he's managed to stem the flow. He's not really lost much more time than on the top.
Great job of that last upstream.
It's all gone wrong here. A penalty on 21, a spin out 22, 23, and it's not going to be a final today for Finn Butcher of New Zealand, into 17th place, and this is a cruel course, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I'm gutted for Finn. He just didn't really look on form from the start, and it was a bit of a fight, and obviously those mistakes at the bottom were very costly. But we'll see him in action in the extreme slalom tomorrow.
Yeah, we will, and you know, he's still a name to watch, I think. But speaking of a name to watch, here is the Olympic champion of Tokyo 2020, two-time world champion, including he is the defending world champion from 2019, Jiri Priskovic of the Czech Republic on course. Only qualified through in 19th place, and he's made a little mistake on 3 to 4 as well.
He did a similar thing to Finn, just not really getting up through that gate and falling off the hole. So
it almost looked like they were looking for the sweep upstream on 3 and not quite finding it.
Yeah, and getting really punished for it, actually.
So he's down by a second on the top split. It's not often you say that about Priskovic, but this is where you'd expect him to come alive.
Yeah, just such an amazing paddler to watch, so tight around the poles, and has his own kind of unique style.
He's kind of won everything in the sport already, but he's still relatively young. He's won multiple European titles. He's won World Cup multiple times, World Championship twice, and recently the Olympic Games for the first time, to add to his medal, the bronze medal he picked up in Rio. So still down on the split, and well, doesn't want to be letting that extend anymore.
Such a consistent paddler, Jiri. Yeah, I think he's had a bit of time off after the Olympics.
Well, can he do the double here? The first job is to get into the World Championship final. Priskovic goes only into 6th place, and well, that wasn't vintage Jiri, that wasn't. From the start, he just didn't quite look like he had his groove. Here we see actually the upstream gate 3, where he was clearly trying to do it on the sweep, but just had to work a little bit harder and then chased it into 4. So we'll have to see. Only 6th place for the reigning world champion, the world #1, the Olympic champion. And we still have a number of boats to go. I think there's 18 boats to go. But it's a competitive field, and here's an example of the competitive field. 2018 world champion Hannes Aigner of Germany, bronze medalist at the London and Tokyo Olympic Games.
Very strong paddler, but also, you know, hugely technical as well. He's got a bit of everything.
So it's Germany leading, and Hannes has found over a second on the top part of the course. That's where Priskovic failed to find any time. And you're right, Hannes, he looks like he's not taking any risks. He's always a deceptive, he's very powerful, but he places that blade very effectively.
He does, yeah. He's very efficient and effective with his strokes, which is important. You don't want to be wasting energy out there, wasting strokes.
Wow, he's still held on to some of that advantage. Half a second now. And now this is the critical move. This is where it can all either go wrong or you can even find more time. It's somewhere in the middle, I think, for Aigner of Germany, and he's just fighting his way through.
He's done a decent job of that bottom section. It's not the fastest, but it's a very good job.
Stops the clock, 87.09 into fourth place for the world champion of 2018. And, well, it's Germany still leading. Hegger is our race leader, ahead of Beda of Italy, Crespo of Spain, and now Aigner of Germany. And it's starting to get really quite tight at the top, especially as we still have about 16 boats to go in this men's kayak world championship semi-final. So next to start for Belgium, it is Gabriel de Costa, 20-year-old, finished 22nd in the Tokyo Games. And another athlete just dropping a bit low into the upstream gate 4. It's the risk I think you take if you don't get the help off the eddy on the upstream gate 3, then you can really end up just not quite getting onto the front of the wave running into 4.
Yeah, and it's worth just taking a fraction extra time to set up gate 3 and make sure you get a good upstream, because that leads to a good entry onto the hole and into gate 4.
And now a 2-second penalty on the downstream gate 8, just cutting the line a little bit too much on the top. This is the World Championship semi-final here, live in Bratislava in Slovakia. And, well, perfect conditions here, particularly as yesterday there was a really, really strong wind that everyone was hoping would not be around over the weekend, and the weather forecast is really good for this weekend.
Yeah, we've seen a few different seasons this week, and it seemed like winter was setting in on Wednesday.
And of course the Wildwater Racing World Championships are taking place here alongside this event as well. So that was the main activity yesterday, alongside the time trials for the Extreme Slalom. Extreme Slalom World Championships is, well, the head-to-head part is at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon, Central European time. You can follow that live at Planet Canoe. So Gabriel de Costa, there we see gate 8. That's the 2-second penalty. And unfortunately only 19th place for the 20-year-old from Belgium. So next to start, Nico Testen of Slovenia. 6th at the SEO World Cup 3 weeks ago. And, well, a contender at junior and under 23 level, has certainly made his name in a few finals there. And, well, looking silky smooth on the top, and you don't get much tighter than that round gate 4.
Yeah, he did a great job of 3-4. Just took the time to use the hole and made sure he got in high for that upstream 4. And he's got quite a characteristically smooth style.
Yeah, well, it's working effectively at the moment. He's got the advantage at the moment over the race leader, Noah Hegger of Germany. And it's hard to gauge this semi-final at the moment as to whether anyone's going to find more time. 86.25 is the time to beat at the moment. Still some big names to go, but there's some big names who haven't managed to eclipse that time.
Yeah, I really couldn't call it actually at this point in the semi-final. So I'm really interested to see, you know, what time is going to win this semi-final. And I think we're going to see those times improve again for the final.
Yes, inevitably there'll be some learning between the runs. There's about 90 minutes between runs, and the athletes will get the opportunity not only to rest, refuel, but look at video and splits and determine whether there's any changes to their race run plan that they will want to do. I expect there will be a few people looking at the upstream gate 20.
Absolutely.
So Nico Testen stops the clock in 11th place. So that won't be a World Championship final on this occasion for the Slovenian. Still Hege leading for Germany, ahead of Beda of Italy and Crespo of Spain. We're starting really to get into the sharp end, and it won't be long before we start to confirm our finalists. But first up, Mario Leitner of Austria. There's quite strong competition in the Austrian men's kayak team between Mario on course and Felix Oschmalz, who got the Olympic place for Tokyo and, well, finished fourth with a paddleback. He's still to come in this World Championship semi-final. And Mario Leitner went to the Rio Games, finished 13th there. 5th at the at the Senior Euros this year, Mario Leitner. And he is up on the split, although the video judges are looking at the upstream gate 3. No penalty showing at the moment.
Yeah, it's fantastic for Austria to have Mario and Felix in their K1 men's team. Both very good paddlers, and I think very good friends as well. You know, they train together, they push each other to be better.
And that's quite often the way, isn't it? That it's kind of a competitive but friendly rivalry between people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, you know, it's nice to have that daily competition within your own team, to be able to benchmark yourself and to practice being in those positions, those competitive positions.
And how do you find that? I guess, you know, you're within the New Zealand team. You're a long way from kind of the main bases in Europe, and you've got competition, but not quite that same intense competition.
Yeah, I mean, 2020 really highlighted that for us, but you can use the K1 men as competition and see how close you can get to them. So obviously, it's nice to have Jessica Fox just across the ditch as well.
I like that, the ditch, that's its name, is it?
Yeah.
17th place for Mario Leitner of Austria, and unfortunately not a place in the World Championship final. As well, Slovakia has no women's kayak in the women's kayak final. Can they make amends and get a host nation athlete into the final? Well, Jakub Grigor surely has got to be a favourite in this men's kayak event for getting on the podium. Silver medalist at the Olympic Games in Tokyo. He's a winner of the World Cup earlier on in the season in Markkleeberg in Germany. And you can expect his knowledge here to be showing, and it's 2.61 up. That is supreme. There'll be a few people looking at those splits.
He is lighting up this course, and he's got the support of the crowd egging him on.
And he's not, he looks really calm and composed about it. He just is being very precise.
Yeah, he's paddling within himself. He's not taking any unnecessary risks. And it's paying off, you know, it's paying off on the run time. And yeah, it'd be fantastic to see him in the final.
So it's been trimmed a little bit, but he's still our virtual race leader. Now coming down towards the big drop. This is destiny time, and how precise was that?
Oh, goodness.
That was high risk, wasn't it? But
it was.
He gets to get the reward as he comes down to the finish line. Surely he's going to take the race lead. He crosses the line, 85.16. And Jakub Grigor of Slovakia moves the bar that everyone's chasing into the race lead. And surely that will be good enough for a place in the final.
Surely. That was a fantastic run. Just carried speed everywhere. So composed. Even when he was a bit tight into that upstream in the bottom drop, he was patient. He picked his strokes, and it's really paid off for him. My coach Campbell actually picked him to be a medalist at the Tokyo Olympics based on how calm he looked in training.
So next up for Great Britain, Chris Bowers, who's had a great season at under 23 level, under 23 World and European Championship medalist. This is, I think it's his third season in the senior team. And, well, 1 second down, but don't forget that is on that superb split time on the top section from Grigor. So it is still a competitive run here for Chris Bowers.
He's such a strong paddler. Trains at Lee Valley, has some really good teammates and other British paddlers to train with. As we spoke about that internal competition, I think Great Britain has a lot of really top-level paddlers.
Well, there's a review going on the upstream gate 10. No penalties showing at the moment. 2 seconds down on the second split. So just needing to put in some magic on this bottom drop. And just takes the touch. And, well, did he get the exit as well? Chris Bowers of Great Britain. We'll have to wait and see. A 50-second penalty awarded on the upstream gate 20. And that's the danger, isn't it? You give it a big clout on the way in, and it's swinging. You've committed to the exit,
yeah.
And the pole's not there.
Yeah, and you can't do anything. It's a really punishing situation.
So that's the upstream gate 10 we're looking at there. And now this is gate 20. Bowers bounce up. He's okay, but then he commits to the exit, and the pole's not there. And, you know, that is a bit the nature. And unfortunately, that means Chris won't be into the World Championship final. Still, Jakub Grigor leading for Slovakia ahead of Noah Heger of Germany, Marcello Beda of Italy. That's the top three. That's Adam Gonsenica of Slovakia now on course.
Yeah, had a great run in qualifications. Definitely knows this course well, and yeah, he's looking good so far, but a little bit down actually.
Well, it's the next section will be critical, because the top section was where Grigor was so strong. So it's not so bad if he's down, as long as he can bring the fight to Jakub Grigor in the middle and the bottom section. So there is a strong Slovak crowd here in the sunshine. There are some COVID restrictions, but there is a limited crowd allowed.
And what a day to be out watching a bit of canoe slalom. It's a very popular sport in Slovakia. Michael Mardikin won Slovakia's first gold medal, or maybe even a medal at the Olympic Games. Back
in 1996, wasn't it, in Atlanta? He was just 17 years old in the year that he didn't win the Junior World Championships. So on course, Adam Gonsenica crosses the line into fourth place.
Good time.
Just looking at that, it is...
Just had a penalty added.
I was just looking at that, a late penalty on the downstream gate 6. It was showing us a review, but that moves him from right but down from 4th to 11th. Just shows how tight the racing is, and no place in the final for the second Slovakian boat.
I think some of these paddlers who are currently in, you know, the top 6 will be holding their breath and really watching the rest of the racing to see if they will make the final.
So on course now, the silver medalist from the World Championships in 2019, David Lorente of Spain. Looks no problems 3 and 4, but just as I say that, a touch on the exit. Just really had a good run of the boat, but clipped it with his arm on the exit on 4. And wow, 3.27, the deficit at the top. Well, anyone who's heard me commentate will know I normally say you can't win the race at the top, but you can lose it. And Lorente is on his back foot coming into 11.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of hearts broken and dreams crashed at the bottom of the course this morning.
So, yeah, it isn't all over, but we'll get an indication shortly as he comes through under the bridge section here, just how much damage there is from that penalty and time loss at the top. 3.7. So he has stemmed the flow a little bit, but that's a big ask at the moment to be getting into the top 10. Silky smooth though, into the upstream 20. David Lorente gets a very tight exit on 20. Has to work hard. You could see he was death staring on that gate 21. So I'm heading your way. And David Lorente goes into 15th place. So the silver medalist from 2019 will not be in the World Championship final. Here we see that touch on the upstream gate 4.
With the top blade.
Well, I thought it was the arm, but yes, top blade. He did everything so well, but just a little bit overextended on the top. So we have 10 boats to go in this World Championship semi-final. It's men's kayak racing, and we will now start to confirm who our finalists are. On course now, Pau Ecanez of Spain, who's had a great back end of the season. So he was 4th in the SEO World Cup on his home course, but 4th at the under-23 Europeans in August. And he is a junior World Championship finalist back in 2019.
He's a very bright young paddler, so young but so talented and skilled, and I think we'll see a lot more of him in the future. I think he's definitely going to be on some podiums.
Well, he's got a lot to do now. He's picked up and another penalty. I was going to say he's picked up 2 touches, but it's 3 now. Touches are clocking up in this men's kayak semi-final. There is no margin for that if you want to place in the final. The final, of course, will follow the women's kayak final, 12 o'clock Central European time today. So you'll have a little bit of time to put the kettle on, make a cup of tea,
really settle in.
And settle in, ready for that. You can follow it live at Planet Canoe, 12 o'clock Central European time. And Ricarda Funk, the Olympic champion, goes to see if she can win her first world title. She's got 3 medals, but none of them gold in the World Championships. And another penalty for Pau Ecanez of Spain. And they're clocking up now. And that means that our race leader at the moment, Jakub Grigar of Slovakia, is our first confirmed qualifier. So the host nation has a place in the final.
That's a really good run time from Jakub Grigar.
85.16 the time to beat. That's already in the bank, so to speak. And in the final, Noah Hegger lying in 2nd place for Germany. Marcello Beda of Italy lying in 3rd place and looking pretty firm on a place in the final. So we look at Martin Duguid of Switzerland now sets off on his quest for a World Championship final.
He's got such a fast, dynamic style. I always love watching him on the water.
He was 13th in Tokyo. He won the World Cup in Po in 2020, which wasn't a full start line, but there were still some big names there. And it does look like he's found some rhythm on the top part of the course. That gate 3-4 in particular looked very smooth, and that helped him to really build into this run.
Yeah, he's looking like he's on a really good run, and he looks composed, but also, you know, he's attacking this course and trying to find time.
He's another athlete that has the rails on the bottom of the boat. You can just see them every now and then as he jumps the stoppers, and he's found time. He is up on the middle section.
I'm going to hold my breath.
Well, he's just picked up a penalty on the downstream 18. So all that hard work is undone and further undone on the upstream gate 20. Martin Duguid of Switzerland found some time. There'll be a few people looking at that in between the semi-final and the final, but only into 7th place, and you can see the disappointment.
Yeah, he was on such a good run.
So the ebb and flow of that run, you know, solid top section, nothing special, outstanding middle section, put him right in the mix, but then 2 penalties on the lower part of the course, and 7th place. He's not out of the final, but he's not looking like he's in a strong position. But that does mean that Noah Hegger of Germany, who's had a great run into the championships, continues that form and would join Jakub Grigar in the World Championship final.
My teammate Callum Gilbert has just started.
So Callum Gilbert of New Zealand on course, and well, we know he's can be fast, and he was at the Olympic Games in Tokyo. He's picked up an early penalty, and the Olympics was kind of difficult for him. Am I right to think he had an ear infection?
He did, yeah. It was quite a serious one, so it was hugely disappointing for him. We worked really hard to, get to the Olympics and be on form, and then to be kind of brought undone at the last minute by an ear infection was such a shame. But he's really not found his rhythm out here on course. Just time is slipping away, and he's made a lot of mistakes. So it's disappointing for Callum that he's not been able to bring the form that he clearly had in the qualifications to the semi-final race.
Yeah, it's, he's a junior and under-23 World Championship finalist. He's very capable of getting into a senior final, but he's gone out all guns blazing, and unfortunately, as you say, he's now 8 seconds in penalties. A 50-second penalty actually now showing on the downstream gate 12. So yeah. They are reviewing that, the video judges, but at the moment that's well, it's already probably the damage is done, but you never want to have a 50-second penalty on your sheet, do you?
No, yeah, it's about damage limitation, and he'll be really disappointed about that run this morning. He had definitely not seen the best of Callum.
So into 34th place, the 50-second penalty does stand for Callum Gilbert of New Zealand. And that means Marcello Beda of Italy is our next qualifier. 7 boats to go in this men's kayak semi-final here at the World Championships of 2021. Myself, Andy Maddock, alongside me, Luca Jones. We're live from Bratislava in Slovakia. Of course, the final, 12 o'clock Central European time today. Women's kayak final and the men's kayak final. We already know well, let's have a look. Yuri Priskovic sitting in 8th place. The reigning world champion, the Olympic champion, is really under threat now.
Yeah, it's it's not a position that we're used to seeing Yuri in, that's for sure.
So Felix Oschmalz of Austria now 4th at the Tokyo Olympic Games, and has had an outstanding season. He's been on the podium on a couple of occasions.
He's paddling so consistently this season, and to be 4th at the Olympic Games with the paddle back, it just shows the speed the raw speed that he has.
So he has picked up that penalty on the downstream gate 9, but yeah, you talk about raw speed, Luca. I think he has the capability to get into the final with a penalty.
Yeah, absolutely, but I'm not sure with 2 penalties that he is fast enough.
I would agree, and a little mistake there on the run-in to 18. He's done well, because he seemed to just get washed wide, didn't he, at the critical point where you want to be coming back at the setup for the drop.
Yeah, I think, it's not been one of his characteristic smooth, mistake-free runs out there today. And
another penalty on the final gate. And Felix Oschmalz of Austria, who's had such an outstanding season, twice on the podium at World Cup level, 4th at the Tokyo Games, but it's not going to be a final today. 23rd at the moment, and that does mean that Juan Crespo, the bronze medalist from the 2019 World Championships for Spain, is in the final. So next waiting is Hannes Eigner, lying in 5th place at the moment, the world champion of 2018 for Germany, who, well, you have to say, is looking good. Same with Pedro Goncalves of Brazil, the early race leader. But we're starting to get some big names coming down, and Benjamin Renier of France, who you'd argue probably has been out of circulation for a few years, has come right back into the mix at the World Cup final, and come into form at the right time for France.
Yeah, such a talented paddler. Great to see him in the final in Po.
So he's 31 years old, and he does have a penalty though on the downstream gate 9.
And it just shows how difficult it is in France to make the team that someone of this level, has to fight really hard to be on the national squad.
Now 4 seconds of penalties, 2 touches for Renier of France, and suddenly it's not looking so favourable. And a review on the downstream gate 8. No penalty showing at the moment, but the video judges are looking at the different angles that they have to make sure that the right decision has been awarded. So at the moment it is Hannes Eigner's time, 87.09, that is the benchmark. Inside that, Renier goes to the final. outside of that, it's Aigner for Germany, and we are now outside of that. So Hannes Aigner of Germany, the world champion of 2018. Well done, you are in the final. And only 16th for Benjamin Renier of France. So not able to just recreate that great form he showed in Pau just a fortnight ago. So our qualifiers so far: Grigar of Slovakia, the race leader; Heger of Germany; Beda of Italy; Crespo of Spain; and Aigner of Germany. And, well, here is a big name ready to launch his campaign. Disappointing games, finished outside the final in the Tokyo Games, having won silver in Rio. Peter Kauser of Slovenia goes for a place in the final. Already a two-time world champion, and, well, there's nothing really in this sport he hasn't won.
No, he's such an icon of canoe slalom. He's been around for a long time. Jeez, I know many people who aspire to paddle like Peter Kauser.
And he won the world title here 10 years ago on this course. So he paddles well, and arguably he might be 38 years old now, but he hasn't really lost that kind of magic and consistency that you expect with him.
No way. Yeah, he's just so experienced. He's still, you know, physically really good and technically a phenomenal athlete.
So he was 0.67 down on the split. He has picked up a penalty on the downstream gate 9. So he's not really got any more margin for error. But look at that. He is on fire. 0.4 down on Grigar of Slovakia. That includes a 2-second penalty. So he's got to deliver this well, which he does. In and out of the upstream gate 20. Surely Peter Kauser has done enough for a place in the final here, as he looks to go for a third world title. Kauser of Slovenia goes for the finish line, and he gets into second place with a touch. Well done, Peter. We will see you in the final. Well, just a word of caution, there is an asterisk against his name, so that just means that his result is still provisional. But Peter Kauser provisionally into second place and into the final.
That was a real class performance we saw from Peter Kauser out there. I know that he loves this course in Bratislava. He said it's like his home course.
Well, he likes the big water, like Tartsen, his home course in Slovenia. Then it doesn't get much bigger than that at the start. And here's another athlete who had a disappointing Olympic Games on course, but would be very capable of taking the world title here. Giovanni De Gennaro now on course for Italy.
Yeah, he's a very fast paddler and definitely one of the contenders for the podium today.
He's been very consistent this season, other than the Games. He took a silver at the European Championships. He won bronze overall in the World Cup, which is a good indicator of consistency. But finished 14th in Tokyo. And this is his opportunity to put that to bed, really, and get in the World Championship final and get his first World Championship medal.
Coached by Daniela Momenti, world and Olympic champion. So he's got a good team behind him.
We've just picked up a penalty on the downstream gate 13. So already had a bit of a deficit on the top part of the course. And that will have grown now, 2.88. So that is actually pretty much on a par with Pepe Goncalves' time for Brazil, who is our next qualifier. Now, can he rescue that? That is sensational. That is outstanding. How did he do that?
I'm not really
Giovanni
sure.
De Gennaro, you are a star. Respect to the guy under pressure. Not only does he go into 7th place, but he's actually qualified for the final.
I think my jaw is on the ground right now. That was phenomenal rescue. Just reacting in the moment. He was, completely where he didn't want to be and made the best out of that situation.
Wow, I wonder if we get to see the replay. I don't think we will at this stage. There'll be a few people looking at that, but well done, Giovanni. I have to say, it is a provisional result. It's probably just checking that, that there was no penalties there. But it means that Pedro Goncalves of Brazil still waiting to see if he's done enough. 3 boats to go in this World Championship semi-final here in Bratislava, Slovakia. And on course, Vavra Hradilek of the Czech Republic, the world champion of 2013, Olympic silver medalist in London 2012. And, well, he's kind of been in and out of the team on and off. Such is the standard in the Czech team, but he's never lost his pace, has he?
No, I mean, the Czech K1 men's team is just pure class. It's the hardest team to make, I would argue, but, you know, Vavra has achieved so many good results, and I know he's struggled a little bit actually with injury recently, but clearly is still on form, so experienced.
So as we watch Vavra Hradilek really chasing the lines there, super tight out of 14, had to work a bit harder to get to 15. I just update you, Peter Kauser has had an extra penalty added to his time, but he is still in the final, as is Giovanni De Gennaro, who has been confirmed as his result unchanged and into the final. But Vavra really taking risks here, and the time just slipping away there.
Yeah, not the run that Vavra would have wanted and that I hoped that Vavra would have. He's one of my favourite paddlers. Yeah, just a bit offline everywhere.
Well, a 50-second penalty judged on the upstream gate 20. He did ask the question, and ultimately disappointment there for the world champion of 2013. There we see it. That's where a 50-second penalty was awarded on the upstream gate 20. And only 36th place. So it does mean Pedro Goncalves of Brazil, who actually Vavra coaches,
Yeah.
has made it into the final.
Oh, wow, what a fantastic result for Pepe to be in the final. He will be absolutely delighted, and I'm really looking forward to watching him race, actually.
So well done to Pepe Goncalves of Brazil. 2 to go. And for the Czech Republic, Vit Prindiš, now of course, who's really had a great back end of the season. By his standards, not a great start to the season, to World Cups, and then found his groove in Seoul, repeated it last time out in the Po World Cup final, winning the World Cup overall for the second time in his career.
Yeah, we absolutely know that he's on form and that he can put down some fast runs on this course today. We'd expect to see him in the final, absolutely.
2.4 down on the top of the course. Can't afford to let that open up much more. We're talking 3.5 actually. That's the margin really for a place in the final. Stefan Hengst is sitting on 88.66. That's the time that Vit Prindiš has to beat in order to get an automatic place in the final. So this is the crunch move. Nicely done. He takes a really safe, keeps the bows nice and controlled, nice and flat, but he's asked the question on 21 there, really got washed away. Vit Prindiš provisionally will surely go into the final, into third place. 86.74 for the World Cup champion of the 2021 season. But there is a review going on. We'll just have to wait and see. And it has been awarded a 50-second penalty on the downstream 21. And it's more drama here.
That's a shock, absolutely, yeah.
So the World Cup champion of 2021 just got pushed wide onto gate 21 and a 50-second penalty. So Stefan Hengst of Germany is the benefactor to Vit Prindiš's misfortune in that semi-final. 1 to go. So it is essentially Preskovic of the Czech Republic against Neveu of France for the final place. This is really an exciting semi-final. So Boris Neveu of France, who arguably, he's been around, he's the world champion of 2014. He's arguably had one of his best seasons for some time. I think he was 5th at the, 7th in Tokyo at the Games. And he's absolutely showing his form. Qualified through in first place in the heats. 1.3 down on the top section. That's very much in the right kind of place for a place in this World Championship final. And he's found some time. He's half a second up on race leader Griga of Slovakia. Now it's just all about keeping it calm under pressure, delivering the bottom section, which he is looking like he's on track to do.
Oh.
But he's taken a touch. So 88.71 is the time he has to beat to go into the World Championship final, and he is still inside that. Sensational.
Oh, that was an exciting run. Yeah, great to see Boris paddling so well again. I remember when he was just dominating everything, and yeah, he's a real contender for the podium in this final.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, that finishes the men's kayak semi-final, but well, it's been a roller coaster ride, and it does mean that Yuri Priskovich, the Olympic champion, the reigning world champion, is out. He is 11th in this semi-final. Boris Nouveau showing his pace and getting through with a 2-second penalty. Peter Kauser, world champion from 2011 on this course, also through with 4 seconds of penalties and with the fastest raw time of 83.47 seconds. Well, what a performance here. We've seen some outstanding racing in this, the World Championship semi-finals in the women's kayak and the men's kayak. But it is Jakob Grieger who will go off last in that World Championship final. And of course, you can follow that 12 o'clock Central European time. Not long now, just half an hour's time, we'll be underway with the World Championship final in the women's kayak competition. But what are your reflections there? Because there's some big times in there, some big names still in that final.
Yeah, I mean, what an exciting morning. It's just been full of surprises, some big shocks, a lot of really good runs being put down. So I'm going to go and make myself a cup of tea and really settle in for what will be a fantastic final.
So we've got Ricarda Funk will go off last in the women's kayak final. She was fastest in the semi-final. And then Jakob Grieger, the only Slovak in these two finals, of course, for the host nation. But he'll go off last as the fastest qualifier from the semi-finals. Here we have it, the confirmation of the results. Jakob Grieger wins the semi-final. He goes off last. Noah Heger of Germany, a great run for the young German. World champion Hannes Eigner there. Boris Nouveau, world champion in 2014. Peter Kauser, double world champion. There's kind of a bit of a who's who. And the big name, Yuri Priskovich of the Czech Republic, misses out. Double world champion, Olympic champion. David Lorente, silver medalist from the World Championships in 2019, misses out as well. And the likes of Felix Oshmaltz, Bradley Forbes-Cryans, both in the top 6 at the Tokyo Games, not in the final. Such is the competition for places. Vit Prindis from the Czech Republic, that's one of the biggest surprises as well.
Yeah, shocking exit. You would absolutely have put him in the final. Given the form that he's on, he'll be hugely disappointed.
So that concludes the semi-finals. We'll see you back here in half an hour for the finals. Bye for now.